think we live. I think we're. Let's see. All right. Yeah. Okay. We're live. I haven't done one of those in a while. I haven't shown myself without makeup in a while. So, hey, damn, you're early. I'm about to start my Get Ready With Me stream. Shut up, Rodrigo. This is literally how women with makeup wake up in the morning. Relax. Where your face at? That's crazy. Crazy. What the fuck is whiff? Also, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, you're a child, okay? One day, you're gonna get a girlfriend, and she's not always gonna have makeup on, and you're gonna have to get used to it, okay? So, that's that. And I still don't know what whiff is. What the fuck is whiff? Y'all forget that I'm fucking French. You have a girlfriend? Exactly. Then if you have a girlfriend, you know how she wakes up in the morning. Damn. The wig. Oh. I mean, I always keep my hair out of my face when I do my makeup because obviously I don't want to put foundation on my fucking hair. Hello? She always wakes up before me. Dude, come on. Like, well, one day you might see her without makeup, and that's that. Also, if she never showed her face without makeup to you, that's not good, bro. Because you should find her beautiful with and without it. Blend foundation on my hair? Are you nuts? Anyway. So, as I always do when I do these stream, it's very simple. I just do my makeup while I watch true crime, okay? It's not that deep. Good for her. I am a makeup lover. I have so much makeup at home. I have like a small fucking Sephora at home, okay? And even though I haven't been able to buy new makeup in years, I still have a whole lot of makeup that I gotta use. Otherwise, I'm gonna feel like I spent all that money for no reason. And I love makeup, so I don't really care. All right, go watch your sucker, Rodrigo. Come on now. I shop in my own house, sir. Almost. That's how much makeup I have at home. Like, it's crazy. I could definitely open a mini pop shop Sephora and someone would find something for them because that's how much product I have. It is what it is. But I digress. I'll see you later, Rodrigo. And yeah. Anyway, back to my makeup because this takes a little while. And I need to get ready before Cat goes to bed so I can finally ascend from gold to platinum. So that's what we're doing today. Fix makeup? Absolutely fucking not. Ain't nobody touching my makeup, bruh. Ain't nobody touching my makeup. Ever. Ever. I could, however, do a full stream without makeup for 1 million point. How about that? How about that? Does that sound good to you? Yeah. All right. We'll talk about it another time. Go watch your soccer game. I'm gonna watch Rotten Mango. Thank you very much.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Do you trust a random stranger to give you life-altering advice? Imagine walking up to a stranger, you give them this coin. Hey, toss the coin. Toss the coin, and based off of what it lands on, by you tossing it, I'm gonna decide whether or not I break up with my girlfriend and move to the other side of the country to join a band. And my fate is in this random person's hand. Someone I don't even know. I don't even know what this person is about. Would you trust a stranger with that level of power? At the pier in San Diego, California, there's this TikToker, Bailey, who's casually sitting on the side, and she is hoping that people trust a stranger like that. She's got this giant poster board sitting on her lap, and it just reads, "Ask me for free advice," in big, bright orange letters. I don't know how long she's been sitting out there for, but a middle-aged man stops on his bike.
Do I go to Uzbekistan or stay here?
Oh, damn.
Yes, and it's such an intense question. Wait, say that one more time. Do I go to Uzbekistan or stay here?
Do you have family there?
No.
Why do you want to go?
Meet a woman.
To meet a woman.
Oh no,
And
you got
it was
scammed.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan.
Which, that's a huge thing to ask a stranger for advice.
True crime.
Do you
You'll
move to
see.
the other side of the world for a woman, or do you stay
Wait.
here?
Are you talking about the product that I just put on my face or the story? Because this is a true crime story. What I just put on my face is the Power Grip Primer by e.l.f. Cosmetic, which is almost empty already. And that's what you put before you apply your foundation. And now I'm going to color correct because I have to correct those spots here. And I have to like fix slightly my under eyes because it's a little bit dark because I don't sleep enough. And then I'm going to put my foundation and a lot of powder and a lot of whole lot of much for. I'm going to put a whole lot of product on my face, boo boo. You're going to see. It's a lot. But it's fun.
I don't know, but maybe he just needs someone who blurts out an answer. To give you the honest truth of how I feel about this TikTok, it appears to me that he just wants someone to say yes. Like, you know, when you ask someone for advice, but you already know what you want to hear, so anything else is just going in one ear and out the other. It doesn't matter to you. It's like when you decide you want to buy something already. You ask your friend, and they tell you, "Do you really need it?" You just keep going until they say, "Yeah, you should totally get it." That's the energy here.
Yeah.
And the man on the bike has this very interesting outward appearance. He's wearing this black beanie, but it's only covering half of his bald head. And he's eerily calm the entire time. Like a bit too calm. The way he's just pleasantly smiling. Do I just uproot my life and move to the other side of the country?
Yeah, it's really odd, right?
Yes. And the TikToker Bailey continues to ask him,
You don't like American women?
Damn.
Oh, they're familiar.
So you've given up on meeting someone here?
No, I'm married.
Oh.
Yeah.
so
Then-
he's married, pondering if he should move to the other side of the world for a woman. And the whole thing just gets stranger and
What the fuck?
stranger. He talks about how his kids are out of the house. He has an empty nest. He wants to find a woman that he's content with. He says, quote, "I want to find a companion that I'm content with." And the whole time he's just pleasantly smiling while Bailey keeps telling him, "Sir, you're unhinged. You need to at least talk to your wife about this or settle things out here first before you even think about moving out of the country. This is crazy. This is between you and your wife."
I want to find a companion that I'm content with.
I think that requires you to divorce someone first.
Yep.
Well, maybe.
And he's
Maybe.
mentioning that their love is diminished and he's just pleasantly calm the entire time. And there's this one part of the TikTok where he just looks at her and says, "Yeah," and then 6 months later. And he kind of throws his hands up in the air as if 6 months later he's going to end up in Uzbekistan. Now, at the very end of this very transparent conversation, I think that he realizes he's being recorded.
Really?
So sort out your marriage.
when you
and then
realize?
Get back to me on that.
Maybe I'll find myself on the internet.
That video was filmed in June of 2024, June of this year. A few months later, in August, just like 2 months later, someone who looks very, very similar to this man on the bike, eerily similar, goes missing. Quite literally vanishes in the most bizarre kayaking trip out at the lake. His kayak is found in the water, overturned in the deepest part of the lake. His car is nearby. His wallet is found. But all netizens are wondering is, did he actually drown in the lake? Or did he leave his family and slip away to Uzbekistan? Or is that even really him in the TikTok video?
Oh.
Made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Bruce's legacy. They are a volunteer-based nonprofit who specialize in search and recovery operations for victims of drowning. For example, they have a specialized dive team that...
What the fuck? Is that my alarm? Oh, hell yeah. Wait a minute. Oh my god. Jesus, I forgot to fucking turn that thing off. Alright. You're back.
that can be deployed to a drowning incident if the authorities lack the right resources. They also help by using side scan sonar technology, decreasing diving risks for everyone involved in the search and recovery. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. One quick disclaimer, this case is also ongoing, and as of now, most of this remains, I want to say, legally unconfirmed by authorities. So with that being said, everything is alleged, and most of these are speculations by netizens.
Oh,
The
it hasn't been
entrance to the
confirmed.
cemetery looks straight out of a horror movie. Or like a Halloween movie. Like, you know the show Wednesday? It kind of has that aesthetic. It's all iron. The gate to the cemetery is iron. And at the very top, it has this ornate design. And there's just two words hanging there. Dartford Cemetery. It's only one of the most haunted spots in the entire state of Wisconsin. It's located just right around the corner from Green Lake, which happens to be one of the deepest lakes in the state. And the cemetery is now the final resting place for at least 2,591 bodies. The local legend is this. If you were to walk into the cemetery, you walk up to this one tombstone. The name on there is Jackson Walker. Nobody really knows much about who Jackson Walker was, except that he died a long, long time ago. And he's got this giant mausoleum tombstone over his grave. It's huge. It could maybe fit 5 people on there.
What?
About
Yeah.
4 feet tall. And you climb on top of this tombstone. And you just sit there. And you wait. That's what the locals say. You wait and you wait until you feel something, like a hand on your back.
Oh,
and
hell
once
no.
you feel it, keep in mind, this is very important, you do not look.
I'm good. That's some white people
Not that
shit.
you really have the chance to, because by that point, that force is going to push on your back and it's going to completely push you off the tombstone. The whole thing is only about 4 feet tall, so likely you're not going to be injured. But even so, you're going to be standing there feeling like there's a long hair that fell into your shirt and it's traveling down your spine. You're going to feel a little shiver. One netizen writes about the cemetery. I was a junior in high school, and a group of friends and I had been looking for a place to hang out during late October.
In a
This is during
cemetery?
Halloween season. So seeing that Dartford Cemetery was only 20 minutes away from our place, we decided, you know what, let's just venture out
White
at
people.
10 p.m., check it out.
White people.
Upon arriving, there was nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, it just looked like a cemetery.
Girl.
My 2 friends and I got out of the car and we walked into the darkness with the only light reflecting off the old tombstones. You know, and the dare was we were to sit on this tombstone
be
that was
racially
rumored
like,
to contain the bodies of the
insensitive.
children who had been struck with polio and died. So as we walked closer to the landmark, I accidentally stepped on a grave. And suddenly the feeling of ice crept up my leg as if I was being grabbed by an icy hand. I quickly moved and I told my friends, but we kept going. I looked for the name on the headstone. It was too old to read. Once we got up to the tombstone, we sat on top of it. Only my friend Josh and I knew about the rumor of being pushed off by the ghost. We sat around, had a cigarette, and I felt really disappointed.
I don't understand.
We decided to get off, go home, but
Going
as
apart.
Josh and I stood up, Tom, our other friend, fell off the top. I was amazed, but at the same time in awe of what power beyond the grave could even do this event. The roof of the structure was not at all slippery, so there was no reason that he would fall off. And as we were briskly walking back to the car, we also had this feeling of being watched, and Tom claimed to have seen shadows moving between the headstones.
Bruh.
I have not been to Dartford Cemetery in several years since then, but I always think about it, about what happened that night. So why is the cemetery so haunted? I mean, technically there are 20,272 registered cemeteries in the United States, not including the unregistered ones that nobody knows about. But out of the 20-something thousand, why is this one so haunted? For thousands of years, the indigenous people considered Green Lake a very sacred place where you go to pay homage to, quote, the spirit that dwells beneath the water.
I see.
Back then, the cemetery on the lake had a more beautiful history surrounding it until, of course, the United States government forced the indigenous people off the land, and that's when things clearly go south. Chief High-Knocker, the last indigenous chief in the area, was buried at the cemetery. He's known to be one of the spirits haunting the area because, I mean, do you blame him? He would have been very mad to see what happened to his people. Which, side note, it is said he passed away August 12th, 1911, from drowning in the Green Lake.
Oh.
And now, August 12th, 2024, exactly 113 years later, another man goes missing at Green Lake, presumably drowned in a part of the lake that is over 200 feet deep. Which, if that's the case, that's not looking very good. The call comes in early in the morning from a woman. Her husband went missing last night at Green Lake. What do you mean he went missing? He texted his wife the night before at around 11 p.m. He tells her that he was kayaking on the lake, he's turning around in the water now, and he's heading to shore. So he should have been home, I don't know, let's say latest midnight, which already is alarming for authorities because even if you're an experienced kayaker, probably not the smartest thing to do in the middle of the night. But nevertheless, he doesn't make it home. His wife doesn't notice until about 5 a.m. the next morning. She wakes up, he's still not there. The authorities rushed to figure it out. Maybe he made it back to shore and decided to stay at a friend's house. Deputies rushed to the lake. The first bad sign, they come across the missing man, Ryan, his car, parked near the lake along with his trailer. Okay, that's okay. Maybe his kayak got stuck in the water and he's been waiting for someone to come and help him. You know, traumatic, but a great outcome considering the circumstances. First sweep of the lake, they find Ryan's kayak overturned, capsized, floating by itself in the lake. Now things are not looking as good. The biggest problem now is, well, if Ryan capsized in his kayak, he's likely dead. He was last heard from 11 p.m. He isn't reported missing until 5 a.m. If he capsized, how could he have survived? Perhaps he swam to shore, but there's an undercurrent that's strong. That doesn't make sense. And why wouldn't he be near his car then? Mm-hmm. Meaning he's likely dead and in the water, which means even the search for him is going to be hard. The part where his kayak capsized is, like I said, one of the deeper parts of the lake, 220 feet deep. That's deeper than the average lake across the world. At 200 feet, you can barely see what's in front of you. There's barely any sunlight that penetrates the water. The water is essentially black liquid. This is not something that the local sheriff's office can do alone. They have to bring in specialized search and rescue, a nonprofit called Bruce's Legacy that offers to help search for Ryan.
Bruce's Legacy has helped us in the past with drownings that we've had on our lake, and the reason why is because of the depth of our lake. Our lake is 238 feet, the largest inland lake in Wisconsin.
They're going to bring in sonar technology to scan inside the lake. They have those beams that shoot out into the water. They scan what's down there without actually going down. You can kind of see an image on what's under the surface from on the boat, but you really can't have a thorough search and rescue without divers. Sonar is like a flashlight. It quickly scans the whole room. It shows you where things are, but you can't tell exactly what each thing is. It narrows down a search area very quickly, but that's it. Once that area is narrowed down, you need divers. Additionally, the sheriff's office will be bringing in canine dogs. Canine dogs have actually been known to accurately detect remains even in murky waters at depths of at least 50 feet deep.
What?
They typically do not enter the water. They stand on the edge of boats to detect scents. They can do a lot of surface area very quickly.
That's crazy.
Yes, but that also means that you need very specific boats because their snouts have to get close enough to the water to scan it while they're driving slowly.
Really?
Yeah. It's very interesting. The dogs will be very important considering the water is incredibly murky in this part of the lake that he's vanished. Every hour that passes since Ryan is reported missing feels like the tension is just getting bigger.
Yeah,
his wife and his 3 kids are waiting to hear the news that he's okay. I mean, they have faith that he's somewhere alive and well, and they just need to find him. But within 24 hours of him being reported missing, a fisherman fishes up a giant fishing pole that is identified to be Ryan's. They find a tackle box inside, Ryan's wallet, ID, keys. For 54 days, they're searching. The entire
54
community
days.
is getting involved,
Oh, that's
giving out
crazy.
food, gift cards to those searching so that they can go buy food, because all they're doing all day for 12-hour days is searching the lake for Ryan's body. The local docks are loaning out boats to search and recovery. Meanwhile, Ryan's wife and 3 kids, the oldest is in high school. They're selling t-shirts that say faith over fear to
Oh
help
my
fund
God.
the search. And they're being very optimistic, but
Oh
it's
my
just not
God.
looking good for Ryan. I mean, there's just no way that this man is at the bottom of the lake. Keith is the man that runs Bruce's legacy. He started the nonprofit because his brother Bruce was a firefighter who drowned while searching for a drowning victim. And Keith has done a lot of searches. He's scanned through so many lakes. By this point, 8 weeks later, in early October, he's pulling Sheriff Padal aside. This is the sheriff in charge of the whole search. Sheriff, I'm good at what I do. In this particular lake, he's been doing 9 12-hour days looking for Ryan, and he says, I'm telling you right now, I don't think that Ryan is in that lake. What? Then where is he? Did he capsize the kayak, swim ashore, and then hide in the woods or something? What do you mean he's not in the lake? In light of this conversation, Sheriff Padal decides, I'm just going to run his name. I'm going to run his name and see what happens. They run Ryan Borgwart's name. His passport comes up as entering Canada the day after he's reported missing.
Wow. Yeah. That was something we didn't expect.
Because there's a log of all of this.
Uh-huh.
How is that possible? How does a dead, drowned man go to Canada? He's supposed to be at the bottom of the lake that they spent $40,000 searching for him. What the hell do you mean his passport came up in Canada?
Wait, so this is 50 days later?
54.
They didn't
That's
search
like 2 months
his name in
almost.
the system for that long.
No, because, I mean, the evidence was very clearly.
Hi,
and his
Jamie.
passport was at home.
Oh,
Wait,
Exactly.
then how did he pass? Okay.
We'll get there.
Wait, what? His passport? So he pretended to drown and went back home?
My husband has been so adamant on teaching
Sir?
our nieces about investing, and I really had to
You
explain
should go
to
to
him,
jail. What the
sir,
fuck?
these kids are 3 years old. But he always tells me he wishes someone taught him more about finance and investing, because according to him, time in the market beats timing the market. And that
been
is why
6
we love
hours.
Acorns. Today's episode is sponsored by Acorns. Acorns makes
Why
it
is it so
easy to
bad?
start automatically
like-
saving and investing for you, your kids, and your retirement, even during the holidays.
Why is it so bad?
I love how simple Acorns makes everything
Hurry
feel.
up. What?
In my
The
opinion,
makeup? Are you
it's the
crazy?
best way to get yourself
like to
or a
take my
younger
time,
loved
bro.
one to dip their toes into the world of investing.
And what are you
don't
talking
need
about,
to be an
Jamie?
expert.
What is so
Acorns
bad?
will recommend a diversified portfolio that matches you.
Right,
You don't
tell
need
me.
a ton of time. You can
Tell me
create
your
your Acorns
worries,
account
boo.
and start automatically
I'll see
investing
if I
your
can
money
help.
in just
Thought I
5
can help,
minutes.
but hey,
You
never
don't
know.
need to be rich. Acorns lets you get started with the spare money you've got right now. That could be $5 a day or even just your spare change. And that's right, Acorns can round every purchase you make up to the dollar and automatically
What is
invest your
wild
spare
land?
change for you. And you get bonus investments just for buying the stuff you need from the brands you love. Head to acorns.com/rotten or download the
Also,
Acorns
I'm on a
app to
break
start
of
saving and
Warframe right
investing
now.
for your future today. Paid client endorsement compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Investing involves risks. Acorns Advisors LLC, an
That's
SEC
a-
registered investment
that's a-
advisor.
probably
View
a
important
mod
disclosures at
issue.
acorns.com/rotten.
Like, you need to find the right mods. It's usually that.
Did you know that small businesses employ
shit,
half of
another
the
app.
nation's workforce? And if you've been thinking
But yeah,
about
like,
launching
'cause
that
I know
hand
that-
crochet
'cause
business
you know
that
me,
you've dreamed about
I
for
think I'm
years,
MR
or
like
maybe selling your artwork on
28
a
or
professional scale, you
27.
guys always tag
And
me
it's
in
like
your
the
artwork, and
MR
I'm like, I want to
technically, I
buy
mean,
this
technically
artwork.
it
You're so
should, like, kind of,
talented.
like,
And the time
give
could
you
be
an
now. With the
idea
new year coming up and
of where you
Shopify's
are in
holiday
the
special,
game, but
make your
unfortunately,
any
not
size
always.
business dreams
So
come
just
true.
like,
Shopify is
check
the
your
most
mods.
user-friendly e-commerce platform designed to
know?
help businesses of all sizes create, manage, and grow their online
Rodrigo,
stores using
you don't
these
even play
customizable
Warframe.
templates. A lot of you guys may
You
know
don't
that
know
we've
what
been loving Shopify for
MR28
some time
even
now. When we sold
means.
Grandpa Mango's limited edition art prints,
Bruh,
Shopify took care of
come on
all the
now.
nitty-gritty tedious stuff. For example, it was the inventory tracker. It managed
But yeah,
all of that
Jamie,
and even provided alerts for when something is low in stock. If you have
you
a
know,
physical
like, there's
location
a
for your shop,
few
Shopify's point of sale system
veteran
and
of
checkout
Warframe
tools
in
will work
my
in
in my
tandem with your
Discord.
online
You should
store's
Ask
inventory
them.
management as well. Shopify makes getting paid simple by instantly accepting every type of
It's the
payment. The time
halftime.
is now.
I'm
Make
sorry,
your any
soccer
size
doesn't
business
have an
dreams become a
entertaining
reality
halftime
this New
like
Year's with Shopify. Sign up
Beyonce.
for a $1 per
I
month
saw
trial period
her
at
NFL
shopify.com/rotten, all
halftime
lowercase.
show.
Go to shopify.com/rotten now to
She's a
grow your
queen.
business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/rotten.
Oh, that sucks, Jamie. I'm sorry for you.
So they start rabbit holing. Not only did his passport come up in Canada, the laptop that they found at his house, the hard drive had been recently
not that bad,
replaced.
Kat.
And his search history had been deleted the day he went missing. Why the hell would this family man delete his search history conveniently the day that he goes missing? The sheriff eventually makes a press announcement. Due to the discovery of new evidence, we are confident that Ryan Borgwart is not located in the Green Lake. We have ended all search efforts associated with Green Lake. At this time, we believe Ryan is alive
Bruh.
and likely in Eastern Europe.
Bruh.
To put it lightly, they are now accusing Ryan Borgwart of faking his death, escaping to Eastern Europe. Is that what the sheriff is saying? He tricks the whole town. His coworkers, family, wife, and kids all believe that he drowned in the lake when he really didn't. They're all passing out food to the search and rescue teams. What kind of person does that? I mean, what kind of person has any good reason to fake their death? Did you know every situation of someone faking their death that we know of are unsuccessful ones?
Yep.
We
Because
don't know about
everybody
all the
ends up
successful ones.
finding out.
One netizen writes on Reddit, the best way to fake one's death obviously is not a kayak. That's some beginner, novice shit. But rather, easiest way is killing someone roughly the same size as you. Dress them in your clothes, remove all their teeth and get rid of them. Position the body inside your car on the driver's seat. Now you remove all your teeth and place them in the body. Gas it up, set it on fire, walk away and go live a new life. Which is very
Which is
That is
very
crazy. So
specific.
they're saying to fake your own death, you have to commit murder and then pull out all your teeth, and then you can pretend that you're dead.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Which at that point,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Is it worth
But
it?
that still doesn't answer why someone would want to fake their death.
Wait, what are you saying, Rodrigo? What about the halftime? I just need mods and a hell at Arcane and good weapon. Arcane. Oh yeah. I mean, get yourself some Nexus mod or some shit. Good luck with those. You know I hate those. They just give history like I don't know it already. Oh, that sounds extremely boring, Rodrigo. And how does she know this much detail? Rodrigo, that's literally her podcast. That's what she does. That's part of her job to know these things.
You know the book, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? It's like a very famous book. The author of that book actually staged this elaborate death where it appeared he jumped off a cliff and he wrote this note to go along with it. Ocean, ocean, I will beat you one day, or something poetic like that. When in reality, he was hiding in his friend's trunk while they drove into Mexico. He faked his death to get away from a marijuana charge. In the end, he was found doing copious more drugs in Mexico and brought back to the United States for a 5-month jail sentence.
Just for 5 months?
In 2003,
Leave him in Mexico.
a guy
What the
named
fuck?
Jesse Kiff died. Well, he faked his death. He hacked into the Hawaii death registry system using stolen credentials from a doctor, declared himself dead, signed using the doctor's stolen credentials. Also, he could allegedly avoid paying over $100,000 he owed in child support. Or maybe sometimes people fake their deaths
Sir?
because they're spies for high-powered government agencies.
Oh, that-
There's many reasons why someone would fake their death. But Sheriff Padal is initially very cryptic. He reveals, yes, we suspect that Ryan faked his death, but he doesn't really reveal why. He says, everything we have found, we're in a really good position that we know he is somewhere out there. All we want to know is that he is safe. Our goal is to identify any crimes that have been committed by any individuals who assisted with this crime. Ryan, if you're watching this, I'm pleading that you contact us or contact your family.
Fucking
We
contact your
understand
family,
that
you
things can
deadbeat.
happen, but
The
there's a
fuck?
family that wants their daddy back. So why would Ryan Borgward fake his death? Authorities are able to retrieve data from his computer that he thought he had gotten rid of. This man had been in contact with a woman from Uzbekistan. He had Googled how to transfer funds into foreign bank accounts, and he took out a $375,000 life insurance policy so that when he, quote, dies, his family will be taken care of, if you will. So did he really fake his death to be with a woman from Uzbekistan? That is very extreme. Some netizens are calling him the ultimate passport bro. Evidently, I think marrying someone that doesn't have a similar culture or upbringing as you is a fascinating experience. I think there's a lot that you can learn from each other. I also think that dating and love should be bound by no geographical constraints, right? However, I do think it's weird when people go abroad for the sole purpose of finding a partner because they hate all the quote options they have at home. I think that's a little weird.
Yep.
I do find that to be a very thin line between chasing your dreams and happiness to straight up looking for partners that are in more exploitable conditions. Welcome to the conversation of passport bros.
Disgusting.
Many netizens like to call them LBH. Do you know what that stands for?
The passport bros like to call themselves LBH.
No, people like to call passport bros LBH.
Oh, I don't know.
Losers back home. Yeah.
I like that.
They now are forced to travel to different countries to find people to date, is what some netizens say about passport bros.
I agree.
Draw your own conclusions. I'm not here to sway you into loving them, hating them, agreeing with them, disagreeing. I think they exist, and I think it's fascinating and terrifying. One passport bro states that women overseas are just more open-minded.
When am I getting married, sir? What the fuck? And where is this even coming from? I'm not getting married anytime soon. I don't even want to date right now, let alone marrying anybody. Are you crazy? Marriage. But I do like cake. So I'm with you on that. But stay on topic. Wedding cake. Sir, just listen to the story. I'm trying to focus here. Jeez.
He goes on to state, another misconception is that passport bros can't meet the standards of women in the US, so they travel overseas to date foreign women. But this perspective is elitist. What makes Western women the pinnacle of the global dating scene? Which, I don't think anyone said that, right? Is the only reason someone travels abroad to date because they can't find a partner in the US? I believe many passport bros feel it's the opposite, and it's women in the US who can't rise to their standards. He says he hopes to find love and settle down in one of his top contending countries, Brazil, Colombia, and South Korea. Which, no one's getting married in South Korea, so I don't know what you're thinking. But as for what he looks for in a woman, he says someone beautiful, loyal, and family-oriented. Again, I think if you love traveling or you love a specific culture and you wish to find a partner that's immersed and shares that same interest, that's beautiful. But passport bros keep taking it 10 steps too far. This is from actually one of the more palatable passport bros out there. Others write about their travels in Southeast Asia, which, by the way, Southeast Asian women are incredibly beautiful, yes. But the way they talk about these women in these forums
It's disgusting.
Okay, just listen. They have traditional values. Every single one of them that I talk to lived with their parents. These girls rate on a hot scale much higher than your average woman in the West, and they are more ready to please. Some of the passport bros just hate on invisible American women screaming into the empty chambers of their brain. To the salty Western woman lurking on these forums, yikes, you have no idea the competition you are now facing for men.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Again, love who you love. I think you can be attracted to different cultures, different aesthetics, but why put on this fictitious war between women fighting over you in your mind? That's just the beginning stage of a mental health condition that will eat away with you. But they keep ranting. You cannot even come close to what woman overseas has to offer. So keep lurking on our forums, keep staying bitter, keep trying to shame us, and we will keep leaving for greener pastures overseas. My next mission is to get my other single friends that also have great jobs like me to give passport bro life a chance. Again, nobody is stopping you. Truly. This is why you have a passport. I'm so sorry, guys. I have been lurking on these forums and I read it. I felt the pain and now you need to too, okay? Some of these passport bros, they're not even worried about Western women like that. They're worried about, quote, ruining the woman overseas. A TikToker posted a video from the Dominican Republic giving advice to other bros. Man, don't go crazy. These local countries, they have their own economy set up. In some places, for instance, in the Dominican Republic, you know the average person pays between $100, $200 a month for rent. So if you know you're coming here and being Papi Dinero and spending $200-$300 on a female in a day, you're just blowing things way out of proportion. You're messing up the local economy. So now the next guy comes down, these women are going to expect more than they've probably ever seen. I'm not going to say deserve, because you can get what you can get out of life. When you come here and you start going crazy, throwing things off balance, you know, a lot of the guys are going down to the DR and treating the place like a strip club. You're upsetting the imbalance of things. I heard stories of guys back in the 90s. You know, I heard stories of guys going down there and having a nice time with a young lady for $50 or something for a couple of days. You try to offer that to a young lady now, she's going to laugh in your face. Why?
Duh.
Because the local economy, the structure of things has been thrown off.
$50.
Most people think that this man is a crusty man with crusty skid marks, but I regret to inform you that some people agree with him, and that could be potentially terrifying. One comment reads, "He's right. I ran into this exact problem the last time I went down there." Another netizen writes, "A majority of these passport bros are turning the women in these countries into Western women. I keep seeing posts about guys bragging about going on 10 different dates in 10 days, sleeping with woman after woman as they go from country to country, basically treating them like disposable trash, which is
Isn't
why
that
I
how
won't
y'all
even
treat
step
them?
foot into insert country unless you're fine with dating a woman who has been run through by about 15 degenerate passport bros." They also complain about the worst things that could possibly happen while they date overseas. Which, side note, you know, some of the worst things that could happen to anyone, and obviously a lot of women, is, well, to be tortured, essayed, and killed going on a date. But passport bros complain online that some of the worst dating encounters that they've had overseas, they write, "The worst I've experienced is that they aren't as hot or as enthusiastic
Puerto Rico
as
is
they
in
were
America.
online."
They don't care.
Still significantly better than here in the US. On that same note, another netizen writes, "Oh yeah, the worst, the girl shows up and bum bum bum, she's fat." Another one just comments, "Oh yeah, the worst thing that could possibly happen is getting used for a green card."
These men are delusional.
Small Business Saturday just passed, and it reminded me of a very
What are you
interesting
saying?
fact that you can use at your trivia
Oh yeah,
night
the
next
cat
time.
is
Did you know that
doing
small
his thing, don't
businesses
mind him.
employ half of the nation's workforce?
He's just being
I
a
didn't know
cat.
that. They're really the foundation and backbone of, I guess, like the whole economy. And
Marry
if you've
someone,
been
invite
thinking
me
about
so I
launching that
can
hand
eat
crochet
the wedding
business
cake
that you've
and
dreamed
get
about for
divorced.
years, or maybe
No.
selling your artwork on a professional scale, you guys
No.
always tag me
I'm
in your
good,
artwork,
bro.
and I'm like, how
Plus,
are you not,
divorce
like, I want
is
to buy
actually
this artwork. You're
expensive,
so
and I ain't
talented.
got no
And the
money.
time could be now.
So no,
With the
bitch.
new year
The
coming
fuck?
up and
I don't even have
Shopify's holiday
money
special,
in
make
general.
your
You want me to
any
get
size
money to
business
marry
dreams come
someone?
true.
Get a
Shopify
wedding
is the
cake,
most
which, by the way,
user-friendly
usually
e-commerce
costs a few
platform designed to help
$100s,
businesses of all
and
sizes
then
create,
divorce?
manage, and grow their online stores using
No.
these customizable
What a waste of my
templates. A lot of
time.
you guys may know that we've
Just
been
buy a
loving
wedding
Shopify
cake
for
at this
some time
point.
now.
Damn.
When we sold Grandpa Mango's limited edition art prints,
Jesus.
Shopify took care of all the nitty-gritty, tedious stuff.
No,
For example,
Rodrigo.
everything was user-friendly,
I'm
but
not
this was just the
doing
chef's
that.
kisses, and it was
But,
the inventory tracker.
I don't know,
It
man.
managed
Thanks
all
for
of that
the
and even
proposal
provided
or
alerts
whatever.
for when something is low in
Jeez.
stock. So that allows us and you to focus on sending out more orders and doing all the fun stuff in a business. If you have a physical location for your shop, Shopify's point of sale system and checkout tools will work in tandem with your online store's inventory management as well. So once you start selling both online or in person, Shopify makes getting paid simple by instantly accepting every type of payment. The time is now. Make your any size business dreams become a reality this New Year's with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/rotten, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/rotten now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/rotten.
My girl is making bank with
There's
those
one
ads.
video of a man who, honestly, I don't know how old he is, but he has a sour, wilted look to his face. He is standing in the parking lot filming a younger woman who is visually so clearly out of his league. And he says loudly, "Passport bros, you want to hear a success story? Look what I pulled." She doesn't even speak English, so I don't even have to listen to her. Which the top comment reads, "Once she gets that green card, she will speak all the languages." But some passport bros try to argue that it's because they're just going where they're appreciated. They write, "I hated the term passport bro and all the negative connotations attached to it. For me, I was just going where I'm appreciated." It's really that simple. To which one netizen comments back, the US culture hates men. The US culture uses men and discards them for not performing enough in long-term relationships.
Bruh.
Most women don't value men in the US and view them as competition. Women have a chip on their shoulders due to dealing with a small group of men, or I don't know, past childhood trauma due to a father that most likely wasn't there. The legal system is and blames men. I'll say this, fuck this culture. You matter. And seek out the destiny God has put in front of you. You are free. You're not a slave to be used with nothing in return. The bros rant about how, quote, it doesn't get better for a woman in the US anywhere outside the US. Whether we're talking about earning power of men in the US, alimony, child support, divorce laws, average women over 27 being overweight, yeah, their life doesn't get better outside the US.
Bruh.
They also say that American women are so particular about love that they won't date a short guy even if he clicks off all the other boxes. With a strong absence of neurons firing away, one netizen writes, I know they ask, why don't you date an American woman? Well, American women are highly feministic since white woman feminism encourages women to go for tall men. I am 5'6" and they rejected me. I'd already given up on women and I thought that I would die alone. So I
you
had
just
3
suck.
choices in America, which are get height surgery, which is dangerous and experimental, go for fat women, or go for women that are my age but mostly are all already single moms. I don't know why feminists are getting mad when they didn't even want us in the first place.
Exactly. We're not mad.
Someone
Go
responds,
away.
"First,
Jesus.
You must understand that modern women are not feminist. They are opportunistic capitalists who use feminist tenets to obscure their behavior. They aren't interested in equality. Only anything that men use to have the upper hand. They don't want a level playing field. They want an advantage to take revenge on the so-called patriarchy. Keep in mind that their idea of revenge is basically everywhere being Sex in the City where they get easy access to rich men and hot guys for sex."
Oh yeah, it's that
This guy
easy.
is so mistaken. Every single girl in my life that I know, they do not care for capitalism. They care not to wedge their house keys between their knuckles in a parking lot.
Thank you.
This is a mental war that you continue to fight with your own mind. You will never win the war because it is against yourself. In conclusion, you
And
remain a loser.
insecurities.
Not in like a mean,
Period.
childish, derogatory way. Just logically speaking, you're a loser because you lose the math. Yeah.
Give us
Meanwhile,
the plus.
this is what many, not all, don't get emotional, many passport bros are writing about in their forums. Listen to this. Been in Manila for about 5 months now, leaving soon in a few weeks. In the last months, I had my girlfriend live with me. Lots of ups and downs. So he goes to Manila, gets a girlfriend, and has her move in. Mostly ups, but she can be extremely annoying, defiant, and clingy at times. But I guess that comes with the territory of dating a 19-year-old.
How old is he? Do we know?
Mid-late 20s, I think.
Oh,
This is the first time I've had a partner live with me, and it has made me realize that I'm not ready for it, and
Hey,
maybe I never
no.
will be. Things were a lot better when she would just come and stay on the weekends, and I would be seeing other women during the week. Today we got into a fight. I wanted to eat pizza for lunch, and she wanted to eat something with rice. He goes on to detail that he threatens to abandon her without a ride back to their house, threatens to starve her until she starts, quote, acting right, and sits down at the restaurant with pizza. He says, I can see how a lot of Western guys with no dating experience come here and eventually get worn down and steamrolled by a girl they're dating because they're still in that Western scarcity mindset. But I know that I'm the prize here. It's amazing to have so many options here because I know if she gets too uppity, I could just be dating a new girl
they
tomorrow.
want you
And
for
she
your
knows this
money.
too.
They don't care about your personality, you dumbass.
Wow.
Which
Capitalism
I know
is why
some
you're there in
people
the
do
first
argue.
place.
The guys are getting something out of it, and maybe some of the girls. Which, side note, I think it is very strange that we all believe everyone wants to move to America. Some people think, if the girls do want to move to America, they know that the guy is not in love with them for who they are. This is their way to get a green card. By all means, do your thing. Everyone do their thing, right? It's its own little ecosystem that's working. It's a checks and balances. But these days, the passport bros are very angry about this idea as well. One writes, loving my passport bro decision, but I'm bringing my Filipino wife back to the West. I want to empower her to thrive, grow, and be fulfilled as a person. But I am concerned of her becoming converted to woke, politicized feminist ideas. It sadly happened to my previous Western girlfriends. Fellow passport bros. go crazy in the comments. It's probably going to happen. I would not bring her to an environment that fosters that mindset, but you do what you want. Or, fact is, all the odds are against you.
Feminism.
Every aspect of Western culture promotes selfishness and lack of accountability and rewards women who have no morals. She will have friends and acquaintances on top of that are influencing her. It's built into women's brains, unfortunately, to never be satisfied or grateful for what they have, no matter how great it is, and always keep wanting more.
This is why most of us want to
Another
be single.
commentator just gives tips. Having an anti-feminist mindset is smart. She has to see the average Western feminist woman as foolish and unattractive. You know, frankly, there isn't much feminine about the average American feminist woman. They pretty much act like men. That's why you did the passport thing. You didn't find them attractive. You didn't want to be with a woman that had a male mindset. She needs to fully understand that and see how unattractive that is to you and to most men. But ultimately, if you bring a woman to the West, then she's going to turn into the woman that you're trying to avoid. Other people just encourage him to impregnate her as quickly as possible when she gets to the United States so that she can stay focused on him and the family.
Ew!
So is that what Ryan faked his death for?
Jesus.
To be a passport
She's
bro?
not a cattle.
That's everybody's best guess right now. I mean, perhaps there's a better reason, or perhaps the woman he's communicating with online was just a friend or someone helping him figure out how to fake his death but didn't have any other relation to him. Maybe she ran an overseas relocation service. Who knows?
He said American women are too familiar, right?
That's what the guy on the TikTok said.
Oh, right.
He said that they're familiar, which is exactly the verbiage that a lot of these passport bros use. Yeah.
Really?
You don't like American women?
Oh, they're familiar.
Which I do want to clarify. The sheriff's office has stated that they are doubtful that it is Ryan in that viral TikTok video.
Oh,
They
okay.
say, we are not actively pursuing this as a lead in this case, but we have seen the video and we have contact info for the people involved. We do not believe it is Ryan.
Then who is the guy?
Another dumbass.
Yeah, nobody believed the sheriff, so they argued again. We have verified that it is not Ryan by contacting people who know Ryan. Some people still don't believe it. And they state, either that's the same guy, or there's a lot of married men with girlfriends in Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all this news coverage, because Ryan goes missing, the TikTok gets posted, and everyone goes, wait a minute. Okay, so the TikTok is filmed June of 2024, but it's not posted until November 2024.
What did you say, Rodrigo? You want me to get pregnant now? Like the wedding cake is not enough for you? I have to get pregnant now? Are you mad? The fuck? Ugh. Jesus. You want to get over your Marvel Rival addiction? Sir, I'm going back to Marvel Rival as soon as I'm done with my makeup. This is a get ready with me before stream. What do you mean? And yes, I know I'm slightly addicted. Leave me alone. Jesus. Like, at least it's not like drugs or alcohol. Dang. So judgmental. Nothing, Jamie. Don't mind them. Just ignore the people in the chat. Outside of Cat. Cat has been fine.
He goes missing August. So he goes missing August. The TikTok is posted in November. So people are like, wait a minute. This guy just went missing. Like 2 months ago, he went missing. I was seeing it on the news. Then this blows up, snowballs, everything goes, it becomes like international news. Ultimately, all this news coverage leads to Ryan sending in a proof of life video because he's alive.
Oh!
He's not dead in the lake.
Wait, Ryan
So he
send the
what?
video?
Yes.
To who?
To the police, the sheriffs.
What? How?
But not to his
Why?
wife?
It appears that things are snowballing too much. The sheriff knew that he was alive, knew that he went into Canada, and was
Deadbeat.
like, Ryan, if you're seeing this, contact us.
Uh-huh.
And I think he didn't want it to snowball into an international manhunt
Deadbeat.
for him.
Crazy.
Okay.
So he sends in a proof of life video, and I will say it is the most bizarre proof of life video that I've ever seen in my life. I think those hostage videos where they hold up the newspaper is less bizarre than this.
Okay.
Can we see it?
Yeah, the hostage movies I meant, where they hold up the newspaper, is less bizarre than this. He's wearing this orange shirt, and he looks like he's having a rough time. It looks like, and I don't say that with sympathy, I say that with he's not looking good. Uzbekistan is not treating him well, is the vibe. He says,
Good evening, it's Ryan Borgwart. Today, hello Matt. Today is November 11th. It's approximately 10 a.m. by you guys. I'm in my apartment. I am safe, secure, no problem. Hope this works.
Hope this works.
yeah.
What does that mean?
Sir?
I don't know, but people think once this video came out, this reminds them so much of the TikTok video because their energies are so oddly similar. He's not smiling and pleasant, but it's just the deadpan, this is what's happening.
Do I go to Uzbekistan or stay here?
Safe, secure, no problem.
So looking at that video and the first TikTok video,
Yes.
do they look like the same person to you?
They actually look similar, but if you look at the ears and the eyebrows and the nose, which are typically how people will indicate, because those things don't change that drastically over time.
Yeah.
It does not appear
Unless
to be
they
the
have
same guy.
surgery.
But they look crazy
They
similar.
look very similar though.
Okay.
Like you would really, I had to pause both videos and I was just studying. I was just analyzing their faces.
Yeah, these are not the same.
Now I really
But
need
they
to know
look
what happened
very
to the
similar.
TikTok guy.
That's what everybody is saying. Where
Right.
is he? He was in San Diego. The video was filmed in San Diego. I don't know if he lives there. I don't know if he's visiting, but someone needs to find that man.
Where does Ryan live?
He looks like
Wisconsin.
no, he doesn't. Jamie, you're
I
black.
see.
The
But he
fuck?
could have gone for vacation.
Right.
But I will say there
Wow.
are some discrepancies. Ryan's kids, he has a high schooler and some in grade school. The TikTok video, the man said he's an empty nester. So all of his kids. But I think it's worse that there's two people like that.
Yeah.
I think it would have been better if it's just Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. That's it. The context of the video that he submitted.
that's it.
What happens next? The
Jamie,
police
we
is like,
spoke
okay,
about
with
this
this video,
before.
we don't
What do
have
you
to
mean?
worry about him anymore.
So they take that as proof of life and they hold another press conference where they show this video to the world. They say, we received this video and the authorities hint at the fact that he's likely in an Eastern European country.
Correct, we do not know exactly where he's at. We know that it's someplace in Eastern Europe.
Now, this could be valid. He could very much well be in Eastern Europe. But if he's in Uzbekistan, just technicality wise, that's not an Eastern European country. It's a Central Asian nation. But I digress.
beside
Okay,
the
a lot of
point.
netizens have been pointing to it, so I want to include the discrepancy. But as of right now, the public is not even sure if he's in Uzbekistan. He could be anywhere for that matter.
I've never felt so offended by a black person being called black in my life. Sir, who are you trying to fool here? Like, we spoke before. I know you're black. How is that a fucking insult? Hello? Am I not also a black person? I mean, shit, last time I checked, I was black. So how can me saying you're black being an insult? Okay, then you're an alien. You happy now? All right. Mr. Alien, should I change your tag on my Discord? For like human to alien? You tell me. See, bruh. All right. So now you're a Latino alien? All right. You do you, bro. No, I don't. I'm fucking joking. Dummy.
People
But
have
I'm
even
gonna add
tried
the
to
tag.
tag geoguessers to guess his location, but nothing
will.
particularly enlightening has come out
Black.
of that. In the video, the 24-second clip sent by Ryan to the authorities, he says, good morning, it's 10 a.m. for most of you guys, which in Eastern Europe, if that is where he is, because he says good evening, but it's 10 a.m. for you guys, it would line up with Central Asia, Eastern Europe.
Oh.
They find a door with curved windows on it that could be traced to places like Turkey and China, but those are likely where it's manufactured. So technically they could be anywhere, but it doesn't seem like those doors are that prominent in the Western world.
I see.
Now, interesting is there these little vents above the main front door. So he just shows us like two doors. We don't really get to see anything.
doesn't
There's
want
these
people
two
on the
vents
internet to
above his
find
apartment
him.
front door. They look like
they
vents,
will.
but they're actually circuit boards.
The internet is scary.
I see.
And people have been able to pinpoint that as being commonplace in Uzbekistan to have circuit boards above your front door in apartments.
So why did the police say he went to that Uzbekistan? Like, where's that information come from, except if it's not from the TikTok?
They found on his computer he was talking to a woman from Uzbekistan.
Oh.
But we don't know if she still lives in Uzbekistan. We don't know if she was like, hey, I'm in Uzbekistan, but let's meet
he's not
in
in
this
Iraq.
other country. In the press conference, Sheriff Padal states that Ryan has filled them in exactly how he faked his death. It took months of meticulous planning.
Of course it
He
did.
took out the life insurance
still
policy
failed.
for his family January of 2020.
Wait, he told the cops everything?
Yeah.
What?
He went missing in August, so he's been planning that. I mean, this was in the works for a very long time. He had more than enough time to have a moment of clarity, thinking, hey, so maybe this is crazy.
Maybe I should just
But no,
divorce.
Nothing never occurred to him. He applied for a new passport stating that his went missing, which is why they have his original passport in the house. They didn't run the passport, but they saw he had it, so they didn't assume he left the country because his passport is here.
Right.
smart, I
I
guess.
see.
And everything else, there was no indication that he was thinking about leaving the country. Nobody was like, hey, my coworker who's missing, he actually said he was going to Uzbekistan. Nobody said anything like that. So I think that's why they did not search for his name early on in this process.
Okay.
He applies for the life insurance policy January, applies for a new passport in May. Then in August, he takes pictures of all of his passports. He transfers a few funds to a foreign bank account, changes his email address, and is in constant communication with a woman from Uzbekistan. Then on the day that he disappears, he clears his search history, syncs his iCloud, and according to investigators, quote, he had planned to head to Europe and try to mislead investigators. He purchased an airline gift card to buy the ticket so that I guess his wife wouldn't see the transactions.
Wow.
Okay.
And how about the actual fake drowning? Ryan states that he had this child-sized inflatable boat. Okay, then he strings his kayak. He paddles out into the deep part of the lake, capsizes the kayak, and then rows the little inflatable child-sized boat back to shore. He also dumped his phone in the lake. Then once he gets to shore, he had hidden an electric bike nearby. He rides that
Oh
electric
my
bike
gosh.
all the way to Madison, where he gets on a bus to Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
Then he crosses the land border into Canada, and then he gets on a plane to head to wherever he is now.
Wow.
Which we don't know?
At least the authorities are not telling us.
Bro?
Okay.
They just said Eastern Europe.
That is a crazy movie plot.
That
Gone
was a,
boy.
That was a
Gone
pretty
boy.
good point.
Exactly.
He just gone boyed. Yeah. The sheriff states he did his research. One of the reasons why he picked Green Lake was because it was the deepest lake in Wisconsin. He thought his plan was going to pan out, but it didn't go the way he planned. So now we're trying to give him a different plan as to how to come
that
back
because
home.
of some TikTok?
The sheriff states that
Crazy.
he chose the wrong sheriff's department because Ryan said, I thought that you guys would only search for me for like 2 weeks before presuming me dead so that my family could get the life insurance policy.
So, do you think it's also like no body, no insurance type of thing? Like,
I think you have to wait like 7 years. Yeah.
I
That's
see.
7
But the
years?
sheriff states, well, I hate to tell you, you picked
Bruh.
the wrong sheriff in the wrong department. As for how the authorities got in contact with Ryan, they were able to get in contact with a woman who spoke Russian through his laptop. I guess maybe there were some remnants of a woman. And that's it. They won't say who this woman is. They won't say if it's the same woman from Uzbekistan. They won't say what her relation to Ryan is. They won't say anything. Just a woman who speaks Russian. That's it. That's all we got. Sheriff Padal states in the press conference, the great news is that we know that he is alive and well. The bad news is that we don't know where Ryan exactly is,
'Cause
and
we
he
need
has
to
not yet
extradite his
decided
ass.
to return home. And it's been really hard for the kids, which would be considered an understatement. During the press conference, Sheriff Mike Padal was
poor
asked,
kids.
how's the family doing?
Disgusting.
The family is doing rather well. We met with him earlier today. Yeah, it was a big shocker for them. I put a lot on his wife's shoulders. It was hard because of her kids, and she couldn't tell them or anyone. So for a while, she couldn't tell them that the sheriff believed he was alive. Yeah.
Damn.
So community members are coming up to her, apologizing, giving her condolences, and she's like, I think my husband faked his death and is in Eastern Europe, but I can't even say that.
Let's thank his wife. That is one strong lady. Whenever we called on her, she always responded, and she gave everything that she could for us.
He says, that lady is very strong, very strong. The press asks, so there's no indication that any family members had any connection with Ryan and what he did? No, there is not. He goes on to state later.
His biggest concern is how the community is going to react to him. And I
He's a piece of
can
shit.
see that. He staged his death, unfortunately.
So he is a little nervous about coming back, and he doesn't want to come back.
Well, duh. He's a pussy. Instead of divorcing, he fucking tried to fake his death, dumbass.
You know those cute PowerPoint videos that your phone makes with the old photos that you come across every few months? I get the cutest little videos of my nieces. My sister takes hundreds of photos of my little nieces, and I don't know if they ever go back and look at them. Oof. And then I got them Aura frames. They now appreciate all of those moments
what
just
are you saying,
randomly
Jimmy?
throughout the day, every day. Aura frames is the world's smartest digital picture frame.
We don't discriminate
it's an
here,
easy and
ma'am.
beautiful
I never
solution
did.
to instantly frame photos
I'm a
and
happy
videos
purple
from your
person.
phone. All you need
Sure.
is the Aura frame and free app,
Imagine being
Wi-Fi,
30, 40
and
something
you
and still getting
automatically get
catfish.
free unlimited
Sir?
storage. You can also
Don't have
your
you've
family
never
or
seen the
friends
TV show
or whoever you
Catfish?
invite
People
to
still
also
get
share
catfish
photos and
to this
videos
day.
that will
Like even
instantly
young
appear
people
on
get
your Aura
catfish,
frame
which is crazy to
wherever
me
they
because
are
I'm
in
like,
the
don't
world.
you have
I
access
think
to
this
the
is so
internet?
beautiful for long
Like,
distance friendships,
I
relationships.
feel
or if your
like
kid
the
is
TV
going
show
to
Catfish
college,
has
this
been
is kind
there,
of perfect.
has existed long
No
enough for
memory
people
card
to not
required.
keep
Aura
falling for
frames
this.
is a
It's crazy
fantastic
to me.
option for the holidays as well
It's a
because
very
you can
popular
personalize
TV
and
show.
preload an Aura
I
frame.
watched a
Plus,
few
once you buy
episodes.
the Aura frame, there is no
Crazy
membership
shit.
required to use
It's
it. No
always the
strings
same
attached.
pattern.
Save on
These
the
people
perfect gift
could
by
just
visiting
like
auraframes.com to
willfully
get
blind to
$35 off Aura's
reality
best-selling
because they're
carbon
in
matte
love with
frames by
someone
using
that they've
promo code
never
ROTTEN
met.
at checkout. That's
Crazy.
AURAFrames.com,
Sad,
promo code
really.
ROTTEN. This deal is exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply.
Right?
I talked about this in the past,
Like,
but my family has a history of Alzheimer's,
damn.
and it's made all my family very active and thinking
But
of
it's also
different ways
because,
to
like,
keep our brain alive,
often
keep
in
working and
Catfish,
learning
you
new
would hear
skills. And did you
stories
guys know
about, like,
bilingualism is
the
associated with a
people,
smaller rate of cognitive
they
decline in older
talk
adults?
every day,
Studies
right?
have shown
They
that
talk
bilingual
every day,
individuals may exhibit
and like
symptoms of
all they have
Alzheimer's and
from the
other
other
cognitive
person
disorders
is like
later than
photos
monolinguals,
from
and
a
that's why I love working with Rosetta
profile on
Stone. It is
Instagram
the
or
most trusted
Facebook,
language learning
and
program
of
that
course
truly
that
immerses you
profile
in the language you want to learn. The program
seems
is available
legit, but this whole
online and
time
on the App
that
Store.
profile
And Rosetta
usually
Stone
use
has taught
photos of
millions of people
somebody
new
else's
languages
that
for over
exists.
30 years.
And what is
Instead
scary
of
is
those
that
traditional
now with
textbook
like
methods, which never really stick with
the
me, they use
technology
a
and shit,
learning
you
method
could
called
literally just
dynamic
create
immersion.
someone
It
out of
mimics how you
many
learn your first
different
language as a baby
profile
by
with
surrounding you in
AI.
that language,
And that the
encouraging you
Catfish
to
is gonna
learn
get
naturally.
crazy with
Rosetta
AI.
Stone's true
That
accent
is
feature
already
will
like
ensure
that. I
that you
already
get the
know it's
vital
gonna make
feedback
some
and your
mess because you can even
pronunciation.
make
Don't put
AI
off learning that
videos now.
language. There's no better time than right now to get
That
started.
that
Today, Rotten
is
Mango
when I'm gonna
listeners
start
can get
believing
Rosetta
people to
Stone's
get
lifetime
catfish.
membership for 50%
But
off.
now
Visit
AI is not like
rosettastone.com/rotten. That's
technology is
50%
not
off
that
unlimited
good
access
enough
to
for people
25
to
language
do this
courses for
shit
the rest of
unless
your
they're
life.
like they're super
Redeem your
good at
50%
like
off at
technology and shit. But
rosettastone.com/rotten
like,
today
yeah, bro,
for yourself
it's
or
just
as a
sad,
gift that
really.
keeps giving.
When you're in love, you have sorry. When you're in love, you don't see shit.
The sheriff is asked, has he expressed remorse for what he put his family through? Yeah, he talks about that. He also talks about how he feels bad for the amount of hours that we've put in and the community. He says, I got myself in this situation and I just got to try to get myself out of it. Sheriff Padal does state that Ryan gets emotional at times and that he's, quote, trying to work out the right things. Sheriff Padal states, we just want him to come back home, rejoin his family. They just want their dad back. They love him. They want him back in their lives. Christmas is coming, and what better gift could he give to his kids than to be here for Christmas?
I bet he won't be there for Christmas.
Which could be true, or it could be a way for him to get Ryan back home to be charged. But they do state that they have been in contact with Ryan every single day since he sent that video. So potential charges are, for faking his death, Ryan could be charged with a misdemeanor for obstruction, which is crazy. The actual act of faking his death is not illegal. Having everyone search for him, causing a whole spectacle in the area and on a national scale is technically not illegal.
It's not?
Like
it should.
Yeah, it's the fact that he planted the kayak that's illegal.
What the fuck?
If he just disappeared without misleading investigators by putting things in certain places that make them search the lake, that make them do certain things, then technically it's not illegal. And even if it is a charge, it's a weak little misdemeanor.
Yeah.
The law professor states that him either giving an officer false information or knowingly placing physical evidence that would mislead the investigation is obstruction.
tabarnak.
That's $10,000 or a max of 9 months in prison. However, the real legal trouble comes in if the feds want to go in and charge him for insurance fraud, because that would actually be a felony. Like, that charge is higher than the obstruction. The way insurance fraud is considered a worse crime than this, it just tells us what lobbying is doing, okay? Insurance companies have lobbied extensively to make sure insurance fraud gets classified as a felony in most jurisdictions. They paid a lot of money to legislators. To make things even more bizarre is that he's allegedly an insurance agent prior to all of this.
Oh.
So in this situation, the potential penalties likely won't be as extensive, considering the family never actually received the payout. Honestly, we don't even know if he's ever coming back to the US, but it would be about a few years in prison. And on top of that, the sheriff's department would likely seek restitution between $35,000 to $45,000 to compensate for the search.
Well, yes.
Keith, who runs Bruce's Legacy, which was a foundation that he set up for his brother Bruce, he said about this whole search, it was disheartening because he could have spent that time looking for others. He says, you meet all kinds of people in the world, and I guess this guy just went to the extremes, faking his disappearance. So it's a first. He definitely cost us a lot of grief, a lot of money, repairs, and equipment. I just hope he comes forward sooner rather than later so the family can move on. There is no way to force Ryan back. We don't know where he is, and if he is in Uzbekistan, the US does not have an extradition treaty with them. Many netizens do not want Ryan to come back. They comment, he needs to, quote, come home to his kids, the same kids that he abandoned and convinced he died in a tragic accident. He needs to pay child support and stay the hell away from their lives. Other netizens point out that Ryan is not dumb. He knows better than to come home, even if the sheriff is saying, we're just trying to get him home to his family. They write, the sheriff is catfishing Ryan right now. His butt is going to be in prison the minute he steps on US soil. He knows better than to come home. Another comment reads, they don't want that man to come home back for his kid. They want their $40,000 back. One netizen points out the fact that his family must have gone through all the stages of grief, and it just amplifies their trauma. They read, they mourned him and everything. That's messed up. I don't care how tired of life he was. He didn't have the guts to tell the truth. Those poor kids. How weird and crazy is that? He faked his own death and put his wife and children through that trauma. They're definitely better out without him. Another comment reads, I can't even imagine this level of rejection from a parent. Leaving is one thing, but faking your whole death is just a different level of cruel punishment. My heart aches for his kids.
No.
The damage that he caused is going to affect them for the rest of their lives. Others are just hoping for the worst for Ryan. They write, imagine he went all the way to Uzbekistan just to be catfished. LOL.
That's what I said. He probably got fucking scammed. Yo, Tito. Arrête. Jesus. The best catfish people I see is when a man trying to get with a woman and the woman turn out to be a man. That happens a lot. But something is funny is, as a gamer, there's so many times that I've seen like gamers pretending to be girls so they can get free shit, and then eventually it turns out that they were men this whole time. Yep, I've seen that before, and it's hilarious. Yeah, your AI, Saber, I always knew. You went for milk? Yeah, no, I don't know about that. It's like, this is just a little bit too much, too intense. Like, he abandoned his family. His kids thought he was dead. That is crazy. It's traumatizing. And imagine the kind of comments they must get in school. Like, they're just not okay. It's just so fucking crazy. And now everybody knows about it. And like, because of a stupid TikTok. Insanity. Okay, no. I don't respect the grind. What the cat doing, bro? Everything. Jumping everywhere, scratching things, scratching me. And when he's not doing any of those things, meow, meow. Like, shut the fuck up. Jesus Christ. It's the worst. Alright. He has like massive ADHD or some shit. Bring me the kitty. I'm not gonna let you bully my kitty. I'm just gonna put him in the fucking living room where he can have all this fun without me hearing about it. Fuck. I don't have the patience for this, for real. I cannot wait to cut his balls at the freaking at the vet. As soon as we get in the vet and I have the money to cut his balls off, he's getting his balls cut off and he's gonna calm down. But right now, he's a fucking little demon.
Another netizen writes, imagine if the guy who faked his death and the guy on the TikTok were both catfished by the same woman in Uzbekistan. To which another netizen responds, imagine if the wife is the one that catfished him to get rid of him by convincing him to leave the country and fake his death so that she could keep the house and the kids and collect life insurance payouts.
That would be
which clearly
crazy,
is not the case here, but I guess it's an interesting what if that makes people feel better. I would be doing a disservice by not highlighting some insane comments. Some netizens point to the idea that someone should have seen this coming, writing, he looks miserable in his family pictures. Imagine the amount of nagging it required for him to reach this point, LMAO.
Oh, shut up.
That is crazy.
Yeah, another agrees, stating he looks hella uncomfortable around his family in this photo. I don't know, man. I would just let him be. He looks traumatized with his family.
Okay.
I guess
That's
strange
crazy.
minds think alike. Another comment reads, saw this story on the news the other day. He supposedly had a bad bitch waiting for him in another country. LOL. I mean, that's one of the reasons why he faked his death. I could give you 4 more reasons, aka his 3 kids and his wife.
Bruh.
Some even write, how do you know his wife wasn't the problem? To my amazement, a lot of people actually had that take. I would like to say the vast majority are not siding with Ryan, but one comment reads, well, at least he didn't unalive his family like they usually do. Okay, many netizens actually share this sentiment, which to a degree, I think, yes, we can all agree killing people is bad, and it could always be far worse. It could have been far worse like it has been with others before, but it's still a crazy thing to say and do, and he should probably serve jail time, if not even alone for the fact that you're kind of scary to go that far to fake your death, which people are pointing out. The bar is so low for men that a man faking his death is met with, well, at least he didn't murder his entire family.
Literally.
But some netizens think it's just an excuse for him to move on with his life, saying, I'm happy he didn't kill them. Let him live his European life.
What the fuck?
I'm not saying I agree, but I understand. Just kidding, just kidding. At least he didn't unalive his family. Another comment reads that everyone should be happy that they're all alive, saying he left them a hefty insurance policy and their lives. LOL. The only people mad at it is the insurance company. Everybody else is a hating ass.
Bruh.
Another comment wildly puts it, well, nobody died, so I don't think anybody should be mad. He just hated his wife and kids, and I'm okay with that because he didn't kill them. With one even
crazy.
Yeah, with one even implying that the wife and children need to move on. His former family should just respect his wishes. He doesn't exist anymore to them, and the wife should file to be a free woman.
Wow, internet has a interesting
The bar
place,
is in hell.
Yeah. Some even tried to feel sorry for the guy, writing, in this patriarchal system, quote, patriarchal, because we're not in a patriarchy, if he wanted a divorce, he would lose everything and be working every day just to give it away. It wouldn't really be any different than staying married. I'm sure he thought there was no way out besides marriage counseling. Jeez.
No, this is a passport, bro.
Yeah, these are absolutely diabolical things to say about this situation, but not as crazy as another comment that reads, how annoying do you think his family was for him to do something like this?
Crazy
Another
thing.
reads, his wife must be a real bitch. Kidding. But he must have had the worst wife and kids ever. Faking your death to get away from them is pretty extreme. Another, I can't hate. They were probably annoying. At least he ain't no killer. They need to leave that man be. His family must be the worst people to put up with. You know, what drove him to such desperation? I would look at the wife.
Bro.
Another, someone call the police for this one, reads, it probably would have been easier to kill her than to talk to her about divorce. Another just jokes. He didn't let his family stop him from letting him be with the love of his life. And you gotta respect that. I don't blame him. Some very good-looking women over there in Uzbekistan. Yeah. Women from there are very beautiful, skinny, and not fat. Just say no to pizza. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah, but
I
then
thought
you
we
have
had a
some
male
women
loneliness
commenting.
epidemic. I wonder
and they
why.
just write, how do I get my husband to do this? Yeah, and some people just write, don't let your wife stop you from finding your dream girlfriend. Or another one reads, someone just purchased a kayak, is watching this, and is looking at his return receipt thinking, damn, back to the drawing board.
These are some crazy takes.
And that is the case of the missing kayaker found alive. Well, missing kayaker, presumed dead, found alive with a woman from Uzbekistan connected to a TikTok of another man who wants to go to Uzbekistan.
And abandon his family.
The TikTok played a role in this case or
It
no?
clearly did.
I think it played a role in making the case a lot more viral.
Yeah.
So that's not why he reached out.
No.
Send the video.
No.
Oh, okay. It's just the police are saying that.
Yeah, so the police did 2 press conferences. And I think, even from early October, he knew that they knew he was alive.
Oh, wow.
The TikTok wasn't posted until November. So the police were on to him early October.
Well,
And then everything just kind of blew up in November. The police did a press conference, the TikTok, mainstream media picked up on it. The police did another press conference, and it just went crazy.
Wow.
divorce is
And
easier
I
than what
went
the
to
fuck
the
this man
depths
did.
of Passport Bro forums for this one. Please let me know. What are your thoughts? And stay safe. Don't go kayaking at night. And I will see you in the next one.
Bro. Oh, the bar is so low for man. God damn. What do you mean? It's a good thing it didn't kill them. The fuck? People are crazy. Alright. This took a little longer than I thought it would. I got caught up with Rodrigo and Jamie Bank, Mr. I Ain't Black and Purple. Frenchie, no, I'm not playing Fortnite. You crazy? I just started playing Marvel Rival and it's consuming my whole life. And I'm not planning on playing any other similar game. Marvel Rival is fulfilling my need at the moment. I'm happy. I'm gonna focus on it for a while. I never downloaded Fortnite. I have no reason to download Fortnite. I don't plan on ever playing Fortnite. Like, what do you mean? Anyway, since this took longer, I'm gonna start another 1 hour video and then I'm gonna start playing Marvel Rival. What is this one?
Bada bing, bada boo.
There's a Reddit page called Change My View. You go on there and you state an opinion that you firmly believe in, and you ask the world, hey, come and change my view on this. People will start commenting. They're going to try to convince you why your perspective is not the best. Sometimes it leads to healthy discussions. Other times it leads to insults where your mom is going to be called into the equation. A few interesting things to note is most people, I would say, on this forum do not change their minds. They do not change their view. Apparently, there's even a few ways that you can tell if someone might be more or less open-minded to change their minds.
So why do they post in
They
change
want
my
people
views? Like they
to
just want an
give them
argument?
reason.
They just want to be validated?
Yeah, they want
Why
to be
are they doing that?
validated.
I think they want to be validated. I think
Like they want people to say, oh, you don't need to change your view.
Yes, I do think like a strong group of people want to see the other side, but I think most of the arguments, you already know the other side, but you've
Okay.
just picked a side.
Got it.
So it's a passionate forum that you can browse on Reddit. There's a few things that you can tell if someone is going to change their mind or not.
Stop.
So for example, when
don't
the
care.
original poster uses the word we
Stop.
instead of I when discussing an opinion, which is obviously very separate from gender expression, but when they say things like, well, we believe,
No.
well, we must not, we
Ah! Va dans le salon, tu m'énerves. Viens ici. Viens ici. Viens ici. Viens ici. Viens ici. Allez, viens ici. No. Come here. Stop scratching my fucking legs, bro. You're driving me crazy. You're going in the living room. I don't care. Jesus Christ. They also want attention,
should
Jimmy. You're
believe
right.
in this rather than, well, I thought. I believe my perception of things. So referring to them as we plus a larger group of people, again, separate from gender expression, they're less likely to change their minds. Because they almost feel responsible for that whole large group's opinion. They feel like the representative of that group.
Right.
And if they waver and change their minds, what does that mean for the rest of the group?
Yeah.
There's also stubborn language that you can detect. This is also in real life. If you are talking to someone and they use words like, well, anybody, anyone, I'm certain, certainly, or there's nothing, don't even engage. They're not going to change their minds. On this forum, there's a lot of debates on politics, the economy, whether or not Epstein actually died in prison. I mean, pretty much anything that you can think of is on this Reddit forum, including debates on the show To Catch a Predator. Have you seen the show before?
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like we talked about it briefly.
Yes,
I've heard
so
so
this
much
show
about this
was
show. I've
around
never
for
watched
a
it.
few years back in the early 2000s. And the fact that it's still relevant in pop culture is fascinating. But it was a show where a host, Chris Hansen, he would have all of these adult decoys. They're adults, but they pose as not adults on the internet. They pose as 13-year-olds. They start messaging strangers. They start messaging 50-year-old men on the internet. They say, hey, come meet me at this house. This safe house is then wired up for audio and video. Everything is recorded. They step into the house. They sit down in the kitchen thinking that they're going to engage in illegal activities, but instead, Chris Hansen pops out and is like, hi, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
That is crazy.
Then when they walk out the front door, the police come in, they're waiting outside, they arrest the people. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
dozens of threads have popped up over the years on Reddit, and it's a debate on whether that show is morally corrupt or not. So one would read, change my view. To Catch a Predator is a morally corrupt show.
Why?
Many of these people's arguments include, let me be clear, I don't think that the people on the show should go unpunished. I think that they should. But also, the show just teaches predators to be more cautious with their crimes, which would put actual victims at risk, not the decoys. Many
enough.
activists have questioned whether or not the show creates a harmful narrative because most predators in real life are not strangers you meet on the internet. They're going to be people that the children trust. They
People that
also
know.
argue that the show is almost baiting the predators to commit a crime. I mean, they're lying, misdirecting, coercing the predators into falling for this trap.
Coercing?
Another
Nah.
small point of contention being
These are
that
grown
the
men.
family members of the predators, which obviously this would happen even if the predator is just charged in the court system, but now they get blasted on TV. Everybody knows what happened. The family members who likely did nothing wrong, they become these massive victims themselves.
Oh, yeah,
but
that
other
sucks.
netizens argue. Change my view. To Catch a Predator is not morally wrong. There should be more shows like it. The main argument being, the people on the show turn up to that house with the intention of R-wording a child.
Yep.
All the show does is show them arrive, give an interview, and then being arrested. If those three events happened, why can't they be broadcasted? We can
Exactly.
video record anyone on the public street. Why can't we do this with any other crime? Others with the same viewpoint argue
agree.
the decoys used on the show were advertising themselves as minors on hookup chat rooms and classified ads. The men who were charged during the stings deserve exactly what they got. They know what they were going into.
Yep.
They also argue that public humiliation and the reputation that follows them after the show airs should be expected. It's also safer for communities because it's so easy to find out, oh my God, isn't that the guy from To Catch a Predator? They argue, I cannot feel sorry for somebody who is ready and willing to do God knows what with a child. I mean, society needs to know who these creeps are. I have no sympathy whatsoever. They point to netizen experiences online of knowing someone who ended up on the show. One comment reads, my friend dated someone who ended up just vanishing, disappearing. And then we eventually found out that he had been arrested for trying to sleep with an underage girl and having ropes and guns in his trunk. It wasn't until a few weeks later that we learned he was on the show, and it just kept unraveling. He had come to get drinks for one of my birthdays, and to be honest, he seemed completely normal. There
Oh
was
my
nothing that
God.
stood out to me as creepy
Gross.
or off.
What
And
the
my friend
fuck?
was a wreck afterwards, though. She's a smart girl, too, and she didn't expect anything like that. I feel so bad for her. She was blindsided.
That's
But others
crazy.
point to other netizen stories that read, I was roommates with a person on the show for a bit. His name was Dave. Basically, he went to California visiting a friend, and the friend tells him, hey, I gotta make a detour to drop in on this girl that I've been chatting with online. He never mentions her age. And also, it's not like he could say no. Dave is already in the friend's car and the friend is driving. So immediately they get to the house. He regrets his decision when out comes Chris Hansen.
Bro.
And they only interview the friend. Since Dave just got to California, he has no idea who this person is. He never messaged the decoy, but it really sucked though, because the episodes are still available online. They don't blur his face. And actually, the whole episode that he's in has his face on the thumbnail.
Oh, come on.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
There are debates about whether the show is technically entrapment. Now, side note, entrapment typically involves law enforcement coercing you to commit a crime. But I guess in this case, since NBC is working with law enforcement, it could count. That's a huge point of contention. As well as, what if one of these people are innocent in some way? They argue that public humiliation is handed out before a trial. And theoretically, if NBC makes more money by catching predators on camera, would they be incentivized to make one seem like a predator even if they're not? Because they've invested time and resources and now they need an ROI, a return on investment.
Sued into oblivion.
So these seem to be the main points of contentions that show up. But aside from morality, there are other issues with the show. Like the fact that the interviews that are conducted on the show are not probably admissible in court, because the predators are not read their rights. Debates aside, the show To Catch a Predator ends after 3 years. The show ends for multiple reasons. One being, someone dies on camera, a prosecutor. Someone who goes after criminals like the predators. His name is Bill Conrad. He's the next one to be caught on To Catch a Predator. He's actually quite good at his job as a prosecutor, but also he's messaging 13-year-old boys, or who he thinks are 13-year-old boys, on the side after work.
You're kidding me.
Yes, asking insane questions about body parts.
Oh my God.
They try to lure him to a safe house to arrest him, but Bill, the prosecutor, ends up flaking on them. They, Dateline, the host, police officers, SWAT teams decide that they're just going to ambush Bill inside of his house. They ambush him inside his house, which, side note, a lot of people question, why did they ambush him inside his house? Why didn't they wait until he was at work, which is a safer place to ambush him? But that's where the moral argument is. To Catch a Predator could not film inside his workplace. They can film probably inside his house.
Oh.
Others felt like the local police department working with Dateline, they'd been in hot water for not being able to do their jobs for a while. So they come in guns a-blazing, SWAT team and everything. Regardless, hindsight is 2020. Whether it's the police presence, the SWAT team, or the fact that the TV cameras are shoved in his face while the police are forcing entry into his home, he ends up self-exiting.
Wow.
Gunshot wound to the head, which was all caught on camera. Obviously not aired, but caught on camera.
Damn.
According to the show's host, Chris Hansen, he, quote, had CSA videos on his computer.
Yikes.
He tried to get them off the hard drives and he couldn't, and the police were knocking on his door. He knew he would face 10 years in prison for each image. But other sources state that the police ran forensics. They found no illegal videos on his computer. But he was talking to whom he believed was a 13-year-old boy, which was an adult. Bill's sister ultimately files a wrongful death suit against NBC for over $100 million, and they settle for an undisclosed amount. So with that, the show officially ends. But there's been this new wave of influencers.
Yep.
They're called predator hunters. I'm not kidding. That's what they call themselves.
That's crazy.
They're live streamers that basically do the same exact thing of the show To Catch a Predator, but in real life, in real time. They lure people online with the promise of a great illegal time with a minor. They show up to the designated meeting spot, typically a motel or a parking lot, and the confrontation is live streamed.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, also very, very dangerous. And
so dangerous. Some netizens think it's bad because most jurisdictions might not take it seriously. Not that it's not serious, but there's so many legal implications on the influencer, to the DA who is trying to take the case after the influencer catches a predator. The evidence could easily be thrown out by the judge considering how it's gathered. I mean, others argue, yeah, well, the justice system doesn't do much to predators anyway, so at least their faces are out there. Many netizens believe it to be peak vigilante justice, which is kind of what starts unraveling in Wadsworth, Ohio. A 50-year-old man calls the police to report his car stolen. In fact, he says it was carjacked, that he was just driving in a parking lot one day.
I don't play Rainbow Six Siege either. Hi, Bruce. I'm doing well. I'm just doing my makeups before the stream while watching True Crime. Watch new No, I'm not gonna watch Nuke Top 5. What the fuck is it even that? Let me catch a predator in peace.
When this man comes up to him and is like, hey, I need a ride to the hospital. I'm not feeling well. And then all of a sudden, he just opens the driver's seat door, slams him out of it, gets into the driver's side, and steals his car, jacks his car. The police ask him, what parking lot were you in? They run the security cameras. That doesn't make sense because your car was not jacked by a random stranger. Your car was jacked by somebody that was in the passenger seat. So explain that. You were with the person that jacked your car. How do you say that you don't know who this person is if they're already in your car? He changes his whole story. He says, you know what? I was actually very embarrassed. I'm a 50-year-old man and I work at the local church. I met this guy on Grindr. We were going to get freaky in my car, but then he snaps out of nowhere and just forces me out of the car and steals my car. I felt very embarrassed to tell you guys the truth, but that is what happened.
All right.
The police are able to find CCTV footage that likely places a 17-year-old boy at the scene of the carjacking. This man is 50. This boy is 17. They bring him in. 17-year-old Gavin, his name is Gavin Ramsey.
Ew.
He looks very nervous when he comes into the interrogation room. The officer questioning him later reports, I observed that one of Gavin's hands was bleeding and that he had marks on both of his hands. He clenched his fingers to make a fist. He was flexing his forearms and neck muscles. I could see his pulse on his neck. He seems nervous and agitated. He's sitting there with his mom. And there's two police officers, one male officer that's sitting next to him and one female officer that's sitting across from him that's asking all the questions. And his mom is encouraging him to come clean about everything.
If I always let you get
About
what
what?
happens in the dark comes out in the light. That's the way it works. You mess up, you get caught. You make bad choices, you're gonna pay for it. So if there's something else, let's get it all out on the table so that we know what we're dealing with.
What
The
did he
officer
do?
looks at him. Have you ever used an app called Grindr? No.
How do you feel about gay people?
I'm not gay.
Oh, that's okay. But they don't bother you?
No, nobody bothers me.
Later, Gavin asks his mom to leave the room so he can speak comfortably with the female detective alone. And he explains,
The carjack thing, it was me. I'm gonna be honest about it, but the way that he explained it, that guy, that's not right. That grinder thing, yeah, I have been on it. And this guy was like the first time that this happened, and I told him like I was 17 and everything, and I wasn't planning on doing anything with him. It's not my style. I was just like, he's a 40-year-old man trying to get with a 17-year-old, so I was just gonna rob him. Like, it's still messed up, but against what he's doing, I don't really think it is.
he's saying that he went on Grindr, met a middle-aged man, told him his real age, 17 years old. The middle-aged man doesn't care. He still wants to meet up. So to teach him a lesson, he decides, I'm going to meet up with him and rob the guy. I'm going to carjack him. He argues it's technically not the worst plan because what kind of middle-aged 50-year-old something man even willingly meets up with a 17-year-old to do intimate things with to begin with? If anyone deserves to be robbed, it's going to be him, right? I mean, I guess I could kind of see the point, right? Gavin explains that he got into the passenger seat of the old man's car. They park. The old man asks if he wants to move the party to the back seat. They both open the car doors. The old man gets out the driver's side, but instead of getting out the passenger side, Gavin slams the door shut, locks the doors, leaving the old man locked out of his own car, jumps into the driver's seat, and just starts driving around the parking lot. At first, he just wanted to mess with him. So he would drive, the old man would run up to the driver's side window, and then he'd be like, "F you," and then keep driving some more, and then the old man would run up to the driver's side window again and again, and eventually, the old man runs off to call the cops.
It's not
Gavin
a
describes
channel.
that he
Not a horror channel. Also, Strawberry Blood, thank you for the following. It's appreciated.
drove the car to a nearby parking lot and abandoned it. He just went home and blocked the guy on Grindr. That's it.
Really? He wasn't stealing the car. He just
Yeah.
wanted to teach him a lesson.
The officer asks him,
You told them your age?
Yeah, I told him I was 17.
Are you gay?
No, that's not it. Like, I didn't have any plans to do anything. It was just for him being that crappy of a person.
Honestly, who cares if you're
Trying to
gay?
get
It's
with a child,
2024.
basically.
At what point in time did you tell him how old you were?
Over text is when I told him, and that's why I decided I was going to do that.
Is it text on your app?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can't pull that back up.
No, that's deleted. I think I blocked the guy too, so that like deletes him completely like out of. I can't search him up or anything.
Why were you on that app?
Really, just for that reason, to find guys that are that low of people, I guess.
That want to get with kids.
Like, it's karma, really. Like, if you're gonna do that, then I'm gonna rob you.
You told him you were 17? What was his response to that?
He was like, okay, and he was down to meet. So that's when I decided I was just gonna take his money and leave.
Did he touch you at all?
No.
Did he ask you for any pictures?
He did, but I didn't send him any.
He didn't send him any, but he asked you for, what did he ask you pictures of?
My body and...
Did he ask you for pictures of your penis?
Yeah.
The officer says, okay, well, I'm sure your mom's standing out there freaking out.
Yeah, she probably thinks I'm confessing to murder. She's been in here so long.
He laughs. Okay, well, how do you want to tell your mom? Do you want me to tell her? Do you want to tell her? I mean, she's gonna have to know. So when Gavin's mom comes back into the room, the police fill her on and everything, and she's just scolding her son. Like, why are you even on an app like this? And Gavin's just shrugging. I don't know, Mom. I don't know why I do anything that I do.
That sounds all vigilante crazy to me. That's what that sounds like.
The officer is staring at Gavin and his mom, just analyzing them throughout this entire bizarre interaction of, I mean, I'm sure they typically don't get cases like this. And she explains, I'm sure you guys already know about all the going-ons in the neighborhood, about the elderly woman that was found murdered. You know, there are speculations that her corpse was used for necrophilic acts, but, you know, she was stuffed into the closet. Gavin's mom responds, oh my God, that was horrifying. They actually live 5 houses down from this 98-year-old woman that was recently murdered. So now they're just chit-chatting about local crime.
Oh my God, that was horrifying. That was horrifying.
What do you mean necrophilic?
It is horrifying.
The 98-year-old was murdered and
Essayed. Her corpse was essayed.
What the fuck?
And stuffed into her own closet 5 houses down from Gavin and his mom.
wow.
So now they're just chit-chatting. And the police ask, you notice any strange vehicles or anything? No, but the day it all unfolded, we didn't even know what was going on. And we have 2 dogs. I have a very small one, and she was in the kitchen with me. And she just kept looking at the back door and growling, and she never does that. I got like goosebumps. And so I just thought that's so unlike her. And I kept looking out, and the neighbor girl has like they built a tree house on the ground. And I kept thinking, God, what if somebody's in there? It just freaked me out because it's all wooden down there and it's all woods. But that was the only thing that was off. Yeah, it was that. Did you know the 98-year-old woman at all?
No, other than just to see her out, like on a porch. That actually makes me want to cry. Like, how do you get to be 98 years old? Nobody lives to be 98. It's so rare. And someone else thought that was okay. Like, how does that, I don't know. Like, why does your life been like that?
Gavin is fidgeting with a tissue while his mom goes on and on about the
he's overly silent.
Woman. And the crazy thing is, like, I have stranger danger issues now. Unfortunately for Gavin's mother, it's not stranger danger that she should be worried about. Because whoever did this to Margaret is a lot closer than she thinks. And he might have something to do with the 98-year-old woman's murder, but also the local carjackings. We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support the Joyful Heart Foundation, whose mission is to transform society's response to SA, domestic violence, and CA, and support survivors' healings to end this violence forever. This episode's partnerships have made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team, and we'd also like to thank you guys for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. A few big disclaimers for today's case. This case is quite graphic compared to some of the more recent cases we've been covering. It involves graphic descriptions and mentions of SA towards some of the most vulnerable populations. So please watch this with your own discretion, and if it's ever too much, take a break, go outside, and I'll see you in the next one. Necrophilia is rare, they say. We hope. It's hard to say exactly how rare necrophilia is because most people who have necrophilic tendencies do not come forward with them. But perhaps it's common enough that some experts have created 10 different classifications of necrophiles. Class 1 necrophiles that do not seek corpses, but they're just aroused by the fantasy of having intimate relations with one. They might engage in consensual adult activities where one partner pretends to be dead. Class 2, they will only commit necrophilia because of an emotional attachment. For example, in 2013, a wife was found sleeping next to her husband's decaying corpse for a year after he passed because she just can't let go of him.
Okay.
Then the classifications progressively get more severe from there, with class 9 being homicidal necrophiles, individuals who commit murder to obtain a corpse for sexual purposes. Then you have class 10, individuals who are only attracted to corpses and will continuously kill to obtain corpses and cannot perform sexually without a corpse. One self-identifying necrophiliac goes onto Reddit to try and explain why they're a necrophiliac. And they write, "The reason why I'm interested in dead bodies is because of their passivity, and maybe vulnerability. For some reason, the way they stay there alone makes me think that they're really lonely and I should take care of them. And they can't reject me or mock me. It's like a blank canvas and you can project all your feelings onto them." To which someone asked,
You had a blow up doll.
why would you not be able to just use an intimate doll then? Because they don't have feelings, they can't reject you. If a real human is too much for you, then why not a doll? With a corpse, the part of fascination comes from the concept of death itself. Someone had a life and now it's ended, and this physical shell is the only proof of that. And I want to use the physical shell. Another netizen asks, fresh corpse or old corpse? Fresh one, though signs of death are appreciated. I also had fantasies about killing, specifically to get the corpse, but I'm not proud of those fantasies. Now, according to one small study, the most common occupations for necrophiles are hospital orderlies, morgue attendants, funeral home assistants, and cemetery employees. Now, to be clear, that does not mean that most or even a big group of those workers are necrophiliacs. They're just people doing a job. But the small population of necrophiliacs, obviously, they're going to gravitate towards these jobs. Still very uncommon.
Disgusting.
But in Wadsworth, Ohio, when a 17-year-old boy, like a junior in high school, applies to work at the local funeral home around the same time that a 98-year-old woman, Margaret Douglas, is found stuffed into her closet, partially nude, with suspicions that necrophilic acts had taken place after her death, after her murder, you really have to wonder, are these connected?
Bro?
You are 3 times more likely to become a billionaire than get murdered at 98 years old. It's just not something that typically happens. But then why is 98-year-old Margaret missing? Before they find her murdered, she's considered missing. Police have to explore the idea that she wandered somewhere in a confused state, and if so, is she in danger? There's this massive manhunt for 98-year-old Margaret Douglas.
They didn't check her
That's
out?
what the Wadsworth police have to figure it out, and fast, because people in the community are starting to get antsy. They went through and checked all the neighbors' backyards, the sheds, nothing. Detectives start going door to door, and every single family on the street, neighbors of 98-year-old Margaret, are now potential suspects. The first door swings open. It's a couple, the Scotts. We knew Margaret, but we weren't really close with her. She's definitely with it, but every time we spoke with her, she would tell us that she was a different age. But she was strong enough to take her own trash out, and she would grab her mail and paper. Did you see any strange cars parked outside? No, we didn't. Sorry. The next neighbor, Eric. I mean, the last few days, I did think it was strange. Her porch light would normally be on, but it's been off the past few days, which I thought was weird. But I didn't see anything else. The next neighbor. I did see something. Well, I'm not sure. Maybe it's nothing. What is it? Well, sometimes I saw the Spectrum trucks in the area, but that's it. Okay, well, thanks for your time. The next neighbor, a burly-looking man, like a muscular dude, steps out into the porch. His arms are crossed. His energy is very hostile. The police feel like he's not going to be helpful. But they start asking him questions, and he oddly gets a little too chatty, very chatty. We've lived here for like 18 years, and I'm telling you, recently, less people are buying the homes, or the ones that are buying the homes are just converting the homes into these rentals. And look at that street down there. That one, that's a rental, that's a rental. I barely know my neighbors now. When we first moved in 18 years ago, I knew every single one of my neighbors, and now I don't know any single. And then the mailman, it was the same mailman for the past like years, I think like 15 years, and then suddenly, all of a sudden, it's a new mailman for the past 2 months, and now we got this guy, and I don't know who this guy is.
Wait, are these all like police taped?
They're all in the incident reports. They're not taped, but all in the reports. Every single neighbor. Yeah.
Okay.
Every single one of them is documented. And the police are even saying, yeah, we thought this guy was not going to be helpful because his body language was closed off, arms are crossed. He steps out into the porch and then he becomes, quote, very chatty. Very chatty. Too helpful, but ultimately nothing comes out of it, right? Next neighbor. She doesn't really have too many friends. She doesn't really attend church or join any of the other communities, but I never saw her as confused. She was very sharp even at her old age. 98, I don't think that she would have wandered anywhere unless she recently woke up and became confused. But I don't know if that happens like that. The next neighbor the police talk to ends up coming to them. A woman is waiting at the lobby of the police station. She can't even sit still. She seems very nervous. I walk my dog in that area. My mother, who is also around that age, but very elderly, she lives nearby, so this whole case hits closer to home for me. And I just keep thinking about Margaret out at night, freezing in the cold. Anyway, I thought I would just drive around hoping to find her myself, but I saw these two guys sitting in the area, like loitering. Do you remember what they looked like? In their 50s? I don't really remember, but I know that one of them looked a lot younger than the other one. I remember that. They said it was foul play, that Margaret is a nice person that didn't deserve that. And I was like, where are they getting this information? Look, I watch a lot of cop shows and I'm kind of into missing persons cases and stuff.
True
I thought they
crimes.
were concerning. They were suspicious. The police take her account and continue with the investigation. But a day after Margaret is reported missing, it's clear that she did not wander anywhere. Howard, her nephew, Margaret's nephew, is searching Margaret's entire house for the second time, and there's a few things that Margaret would never leave the house with. Even in a state of confusion, she always brings her favorite coat in the colder months, and all year round, she wears her favorite shoes, her favorite sneakers. So the first time they searched the house, Howard's wife Cindy found Margaret's favorite coat. This is in April in Ohio, so it's still pretty cold outside, but maybe she was so confused that she didn't take the coat. Howard opens up that little closet again, and it's messier than usual. It looks like someone took all the clothes that were hanging and just pulled them down and then let them sit on the ground. Let them fall to the floor. He starts rummaging around on the floor and he's like, what is that? He grabs it. It's cold. It's a vacuum handle. It's very messy in there. He's digging and he comes across Margaret's favorite shoe. Then he finds the other shoe. Her favorite shoes are in here, and both of them are still attached to Margaret.
Okay.
She is dead. She has been strangled, stuffed into this tiny closet with her head on the ground and the rest of her body upwards, because it's a very small closet. Her underwear is completely torn, ripped off of her body. Her bra is pushed up, exposing her chest. And her nightgown is all the way open. So it's not even just murder. I mean, there seems to be a huge sexual element here.
What time is it? What do you mean? It's like 11 for you. Come on. Plus, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Like, wait, it's 1 a.m. What the fuck? It's 1 a.m. Wait. It's 1 a.m.? Aren't we like 6 hours of difference? Because it's 5 p.m. for me. So I thought it was like 11 for you. Bro. I thought we were 6, but I think maybe 6 is Rodrigo, I guess. So you, it's 8? That's even worse. Jesus. Fuck. I really think I thought that if I get on around 6, we would have like maybe 1 hour. That's fucked up. Wait, but we're Friday. Aren't we Friday? Are we Friday for you? Aren't we like the weekend? Can I corrupt you to stay up later? I'm just saying. Like, you don't have school tomorrow unless you work. Yeah, but like, technically speaking, there's like 1 hour left to this episode. Gosh darn it, cat. Ew. A farm? In the morning? Oh, I'm sorry for you. I wouldn't be able to wake up in the morning just to go to a smelly ass place that smells like freaking cow poop. Damn. I hate time zone too. Alright, I'm gonna try to hurry up then. Damn.
Whoever killed Margaret likely did it for several reasons. The oddest piece of this evidence that they gather once they find Margaret's body is the main clue, a jar of blackberry jam that's left in the living room. And it looks used, but not for intended purposes, not for toast. The blackberry jam will have been used to commit acts of necrophilia. Testing would reveal male DNA inside the blackberry jam bottle because it was used as lubricant.
What the
The
fuck?
friend that calls to alert Margaret's family that Margaret is missing, he had stopped by to check up on her and says that she didn't answer the door. This guy's name is David. David had grown up near Margaret with Margaret and her late husband, and he actually morphed into a friend and a caretaker than just a fellow resident. Recently, he moved away, and now that Margaret is found murdered, he's not answering the police's phone calls. They can't get in contact with David, which is alarming because maybe he did something to her. So as authorities are going in and out of the house to look for any signs of foul play, they just keep seeing this guy lurking around, hands in his pockets watching them. I'm sorry, can we help you? Well, I used to live in this neighborhood and I just wanted to see what was going on. I guess also I'm concerned. I used to know Margaret and, I would visit a lot and sometimes help her around the house, and I bet all my fingerprints are all over in that house. I'm sorry, what was your name again? David? This is the guy that they're looking for, just lingering around the crime scene.
What?
They bring him into the police station, and after a pretty lengthy interrogation, as well as a DNA test, David is ruled out as a suspect. It appears that his care for Margaret was miscommunicated. The police realize, no, this guy is actually just a friend of Margaret's, and he's trying to do his own little investigation, basically. So it's not David. Then what's the other motive? I mean, what motive does anybody have to kill a 98-year-old woman? Perhaps a will. She doesn't have kids, but maybe she has relatives that would financially benefit from her death. Primarily a nephew, Howard, the one that found her body, and his wife, Cindy, are pretty close to her.
Okay, but
Howard and Cindy.
She was raped.
But when authorities
Who
look
did that?
into it, nobody has power of attorney over Margaret. She doesn't have a will. Financially speaking, nobody was going to benefit from her death. Cindy, Margaret's niece, tells investigators, Margaret bothered no one. That's why it's just so horrible. The detective is calmly watching her as she breaks down. I'm sorry. It's emotional because she wouldn't even harm a flea. Then they talk to
She's
Howard,
98. How can
the
she?
nephew.
No
And he
offense.
talks about finding Margaret's body, and he said it didn't register at first. The shoe he was looking for was attached to Margaret. He didn't even connect the dots.
Woo.
He says, I couldn't pick up the shoe, and I'm
Therapy.
thinking, what's holding the shoe? So I took and I grabbed another piece of clothing, I threw it back. I've never seen this before in my life. I touched it, it was cold, it felt clammy, it felt like styrofoam to me, so I moved it, and then I moved another piece of clothing, and that's when I felt a part of her leg, and it felt like the same thing, styrofoam, cold, clammy, and I'm
Jesus.
thinking, why does she have styrofoam in here? What is this? Then it hit me. That's basically when we left the house in a hurry. I've never seen, I'm sure you guys deal with it all the time, but I've never, to me, it didn't look like flesh or skin. It's pretty obvious when you hear Howard and Cindy talk about Margaret that they would never hurt Margaret. Obviously, they are still ruled out by DNA, but there is an interesting clue left in the 911 call when Howard reports Margaret missing. He calls 911.
Yes, this is Howard Leisure. My aunt lives on Portage Street.
Okay.
And a friend of ours stopped over there yesterday to check on her, and she was nowhere to be found. We didn't know if you'd found anybody wandering.
No, we don't have any reports of anybody wandering.
We can't find her in the house anywhere. He went in the house and looked through the whole house, couldn't find her. We don't know where she's at. She's 98 years old.
Did she live there by herself?
She lives there by herself, yes.
What's her name?
Margaret Douglas, and she never locks her house.
The same detectives are working another case, a string of carjackings in the area. That's why they're bringing in 17-year-old Gavin to tell them what happened to the man whose car he jacked after meeting up on Grindr. Gavin is sitting there sandwiched between the male cop and his mom, and the female cop is asking him the questions. And the female detective is still again saying, we've got a lot going on in the neighborhood lately, and probably more than the general public is even aware of. More than one incident. Gavin's mom is nodding along. I'm sure. Wow. Yes. Okay. Unfortunately, we're trying to see if, they're all related. Right. Later, the officers ask them what they think should happen to Margaret's killer, since the case is all anyone is talking about in the area right now, and they just live like 5 houses down.
What do you think should happen to somebody that does that?
That kill someone?
Kill a 98-year-old woman?
I don't know. I think eye for an eye. the best way
Eye
to
for an eye.
how I look at things.
You
That's what my
tell
mom
that
was
to the
saying
cops?
too, is like what she thinks two things it could be is like a grandson or nephew. Like, because my brother's friend, his dad works for some county, and he was saying that like her entire family was like in a will and they were all getting like money and stuff. So he was saying like one of the grandkids or nephews, or I don't even know who's in the family, but they could have done that to get money, or just some junkie.
Shut up, Rodrigo.
Which that would not surprise me.
The police will later ask Gavin's mom, when was the most recent time that your son got in trouble, Mom? Because Gavin's always in trouble with the law. Even at 16 years old, he had a felony.
He has not had any freedom at all. I mean, he literally goes to work and home probably 3 months because he makes bad choices, and we don't want that for our kids. So he literally has no life. And he'd snuck out before. I just recently moved his bedroom downstairs close to mine with his younger brother, because they tend to tattle, so that I could keep, it's terrible that I did it. And it still isn't doing enough, because Morton probably was sound asleep. It's been a few months since he's had any freedom.
Gavin admits that he does sneak out and rummage through cars here and there, but he never really takes anything of value. It's just he goes inside the car and looks. And the police ask, and you don't take anything? Not even change or anything?
Maybe like 50 cents, but other than that, seriously nothing.
Wait, so he said he breaks into people's car to look?
Yes.
Not to steal money?
No.
Well, that's even more scary.
Gavin's mom is super upset. She's rolling her eyes, turning to, I mean, what would you do if someone did that to my car? You'd be upset. It's so upsetting and scary.
I understand that, but it's really their own fault for not locking.
No.
What did he just say?
What?
There's a massive global
That's
company
wild.
that most of us have likely never heard of. It's called Celebrite. They're a digital forensics company that primarily works with law enforcement from around the world. It basically takes all the data from a phone, like the things you thought you deleted, and it helps officers get an idea of what you're doing. It can even pull location information from apps to try and get a general idea of your movements, as well as pattern recognition. You can type in a keyword and it'll search the entire phone, going through search history, messages, videos, folders, everything, even deleted data, which gives the officers a comprehensive look at all the times this phone has talked about insurance fraud, for example.
Or
They can
necrophilia.
typically even pull PIN numbers and passwords, or even the pattern locks. Like, you know how some phones do the pattern locks? They can pull those, which would be the perfect thing to use in Gavin's case. He told authorities that he told the 50-year-old man on Grindr that he was underage. The 50-year-old man still wanted to see him. That's why he carjacked him. But all those messages are deleted because he deleted the Grindr app, and he doesn't remember which one of his fake emails he used to create his profile because he has 1,000 different emails for YouTube.
For YouTube?
He says for creating different YouTube accounts. It would greatly benefit Gavin if they can find all that, because at least they can present this information to the judge. He's still likely going to get charged with carjacking, but still. Now they need to get Gavin's mom's permission because he's underage. She's the parent. She's the one paying for the phone. And Gavin's mom tells authorities when she hands over the phone, it is what it is. Whatever they find, I pray to God there's nothing too horrible in there. It will be worse than horrible. The day that Margaret goes missing, there's increased police presence in the area. They just found Margaret's body like a day later, but nobody knows that she's been killed or anything. To the public, there's just more police. That day, Gavin's mom texts him, they're looking for someone. He responds, well, that's Wadsworth for ya. Then he immediately Googles Wadsworth police reports, Margaret Douglas dead, Margaret Douglas, Wadsworth, Ohio, body found in Wadsworth, Ohio, latest update on Wadsworth murder. Then deletes the search history.
That is crazy.
At the time of the search, again, it's not public information that she passed away or that she was murdered. She's 98. One would assume that she was not murdered.
Yeah.
One quick search for passwords shows two interesting ones. The first being Gavin had set up a password to an account, and the password is, I like kids. So that's great. Then the next password of interest. Gavin had this locked folder on his phone filled with media files. So videos, pictures, live photos. It's an iPhone. And the folder name is Dark. And the password to that is murder.
Okay.
Inside the folder, a bunch of media files. The first video is of Margaret asleep in her living room.
Oh, hell no.
They're recording from inside the house.
Oh, hell
it's not through
no.
the window. She's laying on the couch. She's clearly alive. She briefly moves her hand to scratch her face.
Did you see the...
This one there is, it's in the case files that I received from the police department, but obviously the other ones are not.
Okay.
Then there's a live photo of Margaret lying down on her side. Her right eye is partially open. Her mouth is open, and there is blood on her tongue and lips. She is not moving in the second long live photo.
Okay.
On her neck, there's a gloved hand holding onto her throat. She is dead. Then another live photo, this time of Margaret laying on her back. She has been posed in a sexual manner, and the description reads, in the picture, Margaret's nightgown is open and her bra is pushed up to her neck. The back of a clear plastic gloved left hand is seen pushing against the left side of her breast. Her mouth is open and shows fresh injuries to her face. So someone is touching her chest and posing her sexually.
Oh my God.
The next photo appears to focus on her right breast.
Jesus.
Then the next video is about 16 seconds long, and it shows Gavin using Margaret's deceased hand with purple blackberry jam on there to pleasure his private parts. So he's taking Margaret's hand, covering it in jelly, and then using it on his private area. And near the end of the 16-second video, he inserts a digit into Margaret's body parts.
Okay.
I've
heard enough.
Then another photo, this time Margaret's position so that the focus of the photo is on her lower private parts. Then another, a plastic gloved hand is holding onto her bottom. After killing Margaret, Gavin stayed in her house from 2:09 a.m. to 4:10 a.m. to perform these necrophilic acts. He does not fully essay her corpse, but this would still be considered necrophilic.
Well, yes.
In most of the files in the folder, Margaret is either nude or partially nude, and you can see the gloves that Gavin is wearing that night. There is no video of him actually killing Margaret because it's likely he had to use both hands to strangle her. Medical evidence indicates that it would have taken her several minutes to die. He killed someone that is 81 years older than him, a 98-year-old woman. She made it through 98 years, and it's the teenager down the street to, engage in necrophilic acts and document the whole thing? Why? The police rush to arrest Gavin in his house, and the officer asks him, "Did you know I'd be coming to see you after we got your phone?"
Oh my God.
I figured. As soon as I heard the knock on the door, if my boots were tied, I think I would have ran. Once they bring him into the same interrogation room, this time he's much more distraught. So his first interrogation was like a week before, and now he's brought back in because they go through his phone and it's all connected.
Wait, so the first time interviewing, they didn't know what he did?
No.
But this time, they came for that. Now, where was the mother when the door was knocking? Like when they came for him?
She was in the house. She knows it's pertaining to Margaret. She doesn't know what they found on his phone. And this interrogation, she's not in the room. She's in the lobby.
Okay, so she has some suspicion.
Some clue. But I don't think she understood.
I don't think she knows everything.
Abuse of a corpse.
Right.
Maybe she is trying to justify like some sort of crazy thing in her head.
Yeah.
And he's in the interrogation room. He can't even sit still. He's crying. He goes from sitting on the chair to rocking back and forth to full on laying on the ground in a fetal position. The female detective comes up and puts her hand on his back to soothe him.
Crying because he got caught. You sick fuck. Ew.
I'm upset. That's what Gavin says. I know. Telling me about it isn't going to give you much relief. It doesn't change the fact that I ruined my life.
You did.
He's on his back on the ground crying.
Bro.
We can't go back and change that, Gavin. I know. At this point, we just have to figure out what's going on with you, okay? And you didn't take anything from Margaret's house, right? Like I said before, it doesn't make a difference either way. I mean, what other crime could I commit that would really matter at this point? Which, side note, I do see people upset that the female detective is showing him so much quote-unquote grace. But I think in this case, she's just doing her job. She's getting a confession regardless of the evidence. The confession is more likely to get a just verdict from the jury. To hear someone, especially a minor, say what they did, how they did it, and why they did it, that's almost always going to help the victim's case. Yeah. That's what the officer is trying to do here. During the interrogation, the audio is quite difficult to hear, and it's not particularly insightful. The only time Gavin gets emotional is, again, when he realizes what kind of trouble he's going to be in. Exactly. He tells authorities that he's never been inside Margaret's house except when he went to kill her. He thought he was going out that night to go through some unlocked cars, but instead, he saw Margaret sleeping through her home window. He tries her back door, it was unlocked. He says if it was locked, he wouldn't have gone in. He walks in, records her sleeping, but as he was getting closer, he tripped on the chair and she woke up screaming. He claims he didn't know what to do, but he saw Margaret reach for her phone, so he strangled her. And she knows him. She knows that's the kid 5 houses down. He killed her. And then he proceeded to stay for the next few hours committing acts of necrophilia.
Exactly.
You see how none of that adds up? He says it's a crime of passion, but suddenly an opportunity to engage in some of the most depraved acts on the planet. They ask, have you talked to Margaret before? I mean, I think we discussed this a couple of times, but just this one time when I was 13 or 14, I was going to shovel driveways and stuff, you know, when I was actually doing something good with my life.
So when she died, was she on the couch or on the floor?
Floor.
Were you on top of her then?
Kind of.
Like straddling her?
Yeah.
And did you use one hand or both?
Both.
And did you squeeze it or push her against the floor or both?
Both.
And you said you don't remember if she was bleeding at that point?
The only reason I can think of bleeding is when I put my hand over her mouth.
So when you were holding her hand over her mouth, you might have pushed too hard and maybe made her nose bleed.
Yeah.
Were you in her house for a little while before you woke her up? Like I came up into the porch and I didn't even know what I was going to do. And I looked in the window and everything. I don't know. I just felt like going into the house. It was like the biggest adrenaline rush I could get, I guess. So then I tried the doorknob and that just happened to be unlocked. He talks about after killing Margaret, he shoved Margaret's body into the closet all by himself and, quote, he's stronger than he looks.
So earlier you said that he applied to work at
A funeral home.
a funeral home. Was he working there already or he applied?
He applied, but they did not hire him.
When did he apply? Before this killing or
Yes.
after? Before.
Before.
Okay, that says a lot, right?
A little while before. The police ask him, that night you were at Margaret's, have you drank or smoked anything, done any drugs that night? No, that I was actually sober that night. Which is another reason why I smoke and drink, because I can't handle myself when I'm sober. I can't comprehend. I don't even know how the word goes. My thoughts when I'm sober are dark. When I'm high, they're like good thoughts.
Are they
Have
though?
you ever thought about harming anyone before or taking someone's life before? Not like planning it out, but like, oh, I'm so mad I could kill someone right now, like that kind of thing. But you never imagined yourself actually doing it. No, I could never envision myself. I mean, I've wondered what killing someone would feel like, but I've also wondered what jumping off a building would feel like, so it's not like anything was premeditated. Gavin explains that he has thoughts of self-exiting, but he never could do it because it was too evil for his family. His mom would not be able to handle it. Gavin would even text his best friend, Brayden, about these thoughts and feelings about life. The text would read, I've been doing some light research, and I'm not saying that I have this or whatever, but this is an actual disorder, pretty much caused by wires in your brain being wired the wrong way, if that makes sense. Hopefully it's not like that, but I guess I don't really care if it is or not. I believe every person is made the way they are for a reason, whether they're as pure as God or as evil as the devil. It's who they're supposed to be. I think it's like that, so that there's a balance between good and bad in the world.
But what did he say?
Why do we need this
how is his
balance?
brain wired? Did he say
He
that?
never describes, but he thinks he's pure evil.
Oh.
Gavin tells authorities that he spends every day getting high on weed, stimulants, drinking a fifth of alcohol per day. That's about 17 shots of hard liquor per day. That's a fifth of alcohol. He says his biggest obsession, though, I will tell you the symptoms, you tell me what drugs this is. When this drug kicks in, it's a sense of euphoria. It almost feels like you have increased energy
Ecstasy?
and strength. It feels like you
Coke?
could probably lift a car. If you get punched in the face, you might not even feel the pain until way later. You feel practically invincible. You feel like a rush. Do you know what drug that is?
Alcohol?
Adrenaline. Gavin says he's addicted to adrenaline.
Interesting.
He says the adrenaline is the only thing that makes me feel like I'm even alive. Did you go into the house initially just to steal something? Honestly, all I did was I just wanted the adrenaline rush. Oh, just going into the house? Yeah, I think that's why I broke into cars and stuff. It's that risk factor. All I've ever done is take risks because that's the only thing that makes me feel. So that's your drug, adrenaline? Yeah, I don't know. Like nothing feels wrong with me when I have adrenaline. It's like everything's all right. You feel alive, like there's meaning, right? I don't know about meaning, but it feels different. Like I don't know how to explain it.
He's telling the cops that.
Yeah. Any bad stuff about you goes away? I guess. So your whole intention of going into the house was just the adrenaline of being in somebody's house? Yeah, I didn't want to rob the house. Okay, so it's just the sneaky thrill of, can I get into somebody's house and get out and get away with it? Yeah, but if the door was locked, I would have just walked away. The whole breaking into the house was the adrenaline part. I think I didn't even have a grip on reality. Whenever I did that, I didn't even know whose house it was at first, until... As for his motive, he claims his whole motive was adrenaline. And then Margaret woke up and he felt panicked, he had to kill her. But then why did he commit the acts of necrophilia?
Yeah,
He says it's not even like that.
Is this like the first time
It
you
is,
ever heard
though.
somebody talk about adrenaline
Yeah,
in
it's...
this type of scenario?
Yes. In this scenario, yes. Typically, you will hear adrenaline in serial killers.
Oh.
It's... Yeah.
They're kind of addicted to that too.
Yes. I mean, I think that a lot of people are addicted to adrenaline, and that's why you have people who are heavily invested in skydiving all the time, or they're chasing certain thrills. It's just
but those
varying
don't kill
degrees of
people.
addiction.
Like,
This seems more of like the serial killer addiction to the thrill aspect.
my hands are
I
so
think
dry.
it's tied to the fact that they're doing something that they shouldn't do, and they get off on that. But he's very angry when the acts of necrophilia are even brought up. He's angry about being accused of this whole crime committed for the purpose of SA, but he can't explain anything further. Like, he can't explain why it makes him so angry or anything else. And I don't know if this has anything to do with adrenaline, but it does later come out to the authorities that Gavin would chase his siblings around with knives when he was younger. He'd be like 10 years old chasing them around with a knife. Regardless, he keeps stating it's adrenaline. Adrenaline is why he committed the crime. And the officers are not convinced. They tell him, we know that you were wearing gloves. And we found one of the gloves that you were wearing, and there was purple stuff on it. They ask him, what was the purple stuff that was on it? Gavin looks very embarrassed. The officers already know what the purple stuff is. The officer pushes. I get it. There's like this whole piece of this that you don't understand why you do, okay? But the purple stuff, it's the whole sexual piece. No? The purple stuff was that jelly. I don't even know where it came into play. Did you maybe use it as some kind of lubricant for something? Is this the part that you're just embarrassed in your own mind? You know what I mean? None of this is okay. Gavin is saying that. Well, I'm saying we understand that it's an embarrassing part. We're not sure if it's you don't understand or if it's just embarrassing. It's something that I don't understand, I guess. You didn't have any sex with her, did you? He shakes his head no. But you put the jelly on the glove, and is that when you used her hand to rub your private parts?
Oh, God.
He covers his face. Yeah. Was it at the same time that you were taking some of those pictures? Yeah.
Oh.
Like what is this? That's when the shock set in? Yeah, it's like, what am I doing? There's a couple of videos of you peeking over the edge of the couch and videotaping her. When was all of that done? That was the same night.
Why did I lie about anything? That was stupid.
Throughout the interrogation, he claims multiple times that he never took Margaret's red wallet that's missing. It is later found in his drawer, shoved next to a bottle of Hollister cologne that he stole from another grinder carjacking. It appears he took Margaret's wallet and those photos and videos of her as some sort of trophy. The police talked to Gavin's friends, and they talked to Maddie. This is a fake name. This is Gavin's on and off girlfriend, and she's sitting there confused, and she's explaining this whole situation where she was sitting with a girlfriend of hers. Let's call her Rachel. And Rachel is telling her what Gavin said about her. Rachel is like, hey, your boyfriend said this about you. And she's like, who even says that? Rachel is explaining, remember that night we went to the movies? Well, while we were at the movies, Gavin, I don't recall if you went to the restroom or you went to go grab popcorn, but Gavin was talking about how he wouldn't even care if someone came in and held a gun up to your head. He said, quote, if someone came in here and pointed a gun at Maddie's head right now, I wouldn't do anything. I would not do anything. I would just watch.
Okay.
Maddie and Rachel are like, what does that even mean? What is going on with this guy? I mean, nobody's expecting a 17-year-old to suddenly become a Navy SEAL, but also you're not going to do anything. Why are you even telling someone
Exactly.
this?
Why would you say that?
The way Maddie describes it to the police is, Gavin seemed like he was finally getting better with his life, but for whatever reason unclear to everyone else, he got swept up in the wrong path. That's how she describes it. She would go at 3 a.m. to check his Snapchat location on the phone, because you can share it with friends. He'd be out breaking curfew. He'd be in the middle of nowhere at 3 a.m. Gavin and Maddie had known each other since they were in the first grade, but recently started dating. And she just tells police there's just so much more to it. She says, quote, "We're all in this group chat, and Gavin said once that he could kill someone and not feel anything, but he wasn't gonna kill someone because he knew that it was wrong." Maddie says that she was speechless, but she thought maybe it's a joke. She texts him back, "You would never do that." He says, "Yeah, I know." Which, okay, maybe he's just trying to be edgy. That's what she thought. But then Gavin's coworker, Hillary, another fake name from the pizza shop, she says Gavin would always tell her at work that he's never actually happy, that he just is faking it, when in fact he feels empty on the inside. He would tell her about his plans to catfish people on the internet. He wanted to catfish someone for the sole purpose of meeting up with them so that he could hurt them. The police ask, was he ever abusive or violent towards animals? Not that I know of, but when news broke of that 98-year-old woman being found dead, it just had a sneaking suspicion.
Wow,
Why?
really, girl?
Hillary shows the investigators a Snapchat message between them where she asks Gavin if he's okay. She says, quote, "What's the matter?" He responds, "NUN, I guess nothing. It's cool. I don't know, I just get some really f***ed up thoughts like about murdering people and it doesn't bother me. And I watched one of those self-exit videos on YouTube and I laughed. And I'm pretty sure I could kill someone in cold blood and not feel guilty or sad or anything about it.
Okay,
I honestly have two emotions and they're angry or laughing and I'm never really happy.
I'm just faking it.
I don't even get sad anymore. I literally don't care about anything whatsoever." Other small things that the police learn about Gavin, it's pretty clear that he has a strained relationship with his parents. One friend claims that Gavin and his dad got into a really bad fight once, and it compelled Gavin to choke himself out. I don't know if he was trying to do it in spite of his dad, to scare him, to make him feel guilty, or if he was in distress, or both, but it's alarming. A few of the friends do remember Gavin posting a Snapchat, taking a picture out of his bedroom window and showing all the cop cars out on the neighborhood streets. And some of them even messaged Gavin saying, "Whoa, that's crazy." Speaking of Snapchat, one of his friends says, quote, "He always seemed happy at school, but then on Snapchat he would just seem so mad." During the search on Gavin's home, police come across a 70-page notebook, like the ones that they make you buy at the beginning of every school year. It's bright purple. They find it under his bed. The first few pages are research papers into two notorious serial killers, Donald Gaskins and Ted Bundy. The more notable being Ted Bundy, considering he too engaged in heavy acts of necrophilia. But then when you flip the pages, these serial killer biographies slowly morph into horror movie skit ideas, none of which are good. One page reads, "Skit ideas, horror at the factory, introduction. Braden," his best friend, "is playing at the park and I am a murderer and I'm plotting on how to kill him. Then he notices me watching him from a distance. So he stops playing, looks at me, then I start walking towards him so he runs into the woods." The end.
Okay.
Finale, critical acclaim, and Oscar. I don't know what he's thinking. The next page reads, "Skit ideas." It looks like a page from a brainstorming session. Serial killer taking person into the woods. Interactive horror story. Hunted for $1,000. Horror at the factory. Scene setting, different outcomes and scenarios. A series. I will say there does seem to be some sort of fascination into his best friend Braden. He writes 3 potential mini-sode series, which I do not believe will be picked up by any network anytime soon. Episode 1 is written. Braden comes back from college, travel, running away, etc. We decide to go on a hike and catch up and bond at the old spot we went to as kids, Silver Creek. As we're walking, we get into a heated conversation about Braden leaving and going away, which leaves me at home with a shitty home life and abusive drunk dad. And as we're yelling at each other, I lose my footing and realistically fall down the cliff. Episode 2 opens back up on the cliffhanger, literally. It reads, "Braden frantically rushes down the cliff to come help me and show me that he will always be my big brother and that he will always be there for me and never leave me. Once he reaches the bottom, we have a heart-to-heart talk and then he starts to help me up." In episode 3, as they're making their way back up the hill, Braden falls and gets more serious injuries than Gavin, so they're both injured and both their phones are broken. That's it. It's not
That
the
is
most
so
riveting stuff.
bad.
But the journal becomes more pertinent to investigators when those skit ideas start morphing into a diary. Gavin is journaling. This has been shortened, but his first journal entry reads, "This writing thing is new to me, so I'm going to give this my best shot. I hate being at home. I hate being downstairs with my family because a lot of the time I feel like I don't really belong here. If I'm at home, I prefer to just be alone in my room. I feel like I don't belong anywhere. I can contain my thoughts and urges most days, but sometimes I just want to fucking go off on someone and beat them until they're not breathing anymore. It's not even for attention or anything. I honestly want to take someone's life. I want to know what that would feel like. What it would feel like to stand over some dead body. I don't feel empathy or sympathy for anybody. Like, I just don't give a shit, and I want to know why. Like, I wouldn't feel bad if I killed someone, but I don't want to fucking sit in prison. Like, that would suck. I really need to stop drinking, but it drowns out the pain, so I probably won't stop. His next journal entry reads,
I don't think
all right,
therapy
so
can
I'm
help
back,
that.
and man, do I have some to say. Today I'm listening to I'm Sorry by Joyner Lucas, which, side note, is a really painful song about self-exit and how it affects family members after a loved one is gone. Viewer discretion is advised. It was very emotionally rough, but insightful, but just be careful going into it. Very beautifully done though. Anyway, Gavin writes, it really makes me get in my feels. After I listened to that, I went and hit the punching bag and really needed to let it out. A lot of built up rage and anger. I f***ed up my hands, but I knocked the bag completely off the chain it was hanging from, and it felt good to have that kind of power. I think if counseling doesn't help me, I'm honestly just gonna kill someone. Like, I'm not just saying that. I'll probably take a girl out into the woods, R-word her, and kill her. I wouldn't even feel bad about it, but I know it's wrong. I think I'm a depressed sociopath, to be honest. I don't care about 99% of things. The only things I truly care about are my friends and my close family. While Gavin is confessing to murder, both of his parents, mom and dad, are sitting outside in the lobby of the police station.
Christ.
The authorities inform them that they have some news and updates to share, but they need to conduct another search on the house, and it would be best if nobody was home. Gavin's mom calls her other kids. Hey, honey, listen, this is going to be a weird request, but I need you to take your brothers and take them out of the house right now. Why?
To be honest, I'm done. All right. As you can see, my face is fully done. My makeup is done. The only thing left to do is to put my bathrobe and my wig on. Like, my hair is not fully done yet. And I just need to eat something. So, what time is it? Can you give me 20 minutes? Which is literally how much time left there is to this episode. Please. Max 30. Honestly, I don't think I'm going to need more than that. I mean, it's the weekend. Outside of your farm thing. Look, it will be 2 a.m. What time do you have to wake up? Like, seriously, what time do you actually have to wake up? Because the thing is, if I play Marvel Rival without you, I will most likely lose, and I'm gonna go back all the way back to fucking silver. Well, it depends what all day means to you, because all day to you is not the same as all day to me. You know what I mean? Since we have literally 8 hour difference. But fine, honestly, I don't want to actually hold you, because like if you go to this farm thing, I don't want you to die because you slept on some cow poop because you were too sleepy. Mm. Plus, you had a big exam today. You probably actually need to rest. So, fine. Go do your thing. Okay. Well, yes. I don't know, bro. You slip on cow poop, then you hit your head on a rock, and then I'm losing my favorite Smurf, and then I go all the way back to Bronze Tree. Plus, I lose one of my best chatter and someone that I prefer to play with at Marvel Rival. Like, this is a tragedy. This is a tragedy. Go to sleep. I shall survive, even though I go back to the fucking silver tree. I will survive. I, yeah, I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know about that one. Mm. I know. You go to bed, bro. It's okay. I will survive. Plus, I already traumatized Rodrigo. He's gone. Probably sleeping too. So, It's cool. I shall see you tomorrow, probably, or like, yeah. I, bro. It was like, nah, this ain't for me. I can do the gaming thing, but not this. I take care, cat. See ya. Night, night. All right, I do need to take a small break anyway because I gotta pee and I gotta put my pizza in the oven. All right, I have to pee real quick, so just type in the chat. Uh, all right, wait a minute. Uh, right now, oh, it's it's 5:46 right now as we speak. Uh, yeah. When you read this, I'm gone. All right, all right, all right. Anyway, oh, good. Noted. Everything is noted. I gotta go put my pizza in the oven. Where's my 16 carriages. All right, my pizza is cooking. Let's do this. Let's finish this episode. Very fucking crazy ass episode. But people are sick.
I'll explain later. Maybe go to Uncle David's and just hang there, and we will call you when you can come home. Is everything all right, Mom? No, everything is not all right, but don't tell your brothers right now. After they get out of the house, the two parents are waiting for the police to finally tell them what's going on, and the female officer tells him. The mobile phone contained images of Margaret before and after her death, as well as videos of your son with her. Both of them have a physical reaction. It's not an extreme reaction, at least not visibly, but they seem shaken. Gavin's mom is the first to talk.
Engaging in sex with her. Was she still alive when he was doing that? I don't. Oh my God.
Both of them cover their mouths with their hands, and honestly, Gavin's dad seems to be hit the hardest. He's grabbing the wall, he looks lost, he doesn't even know what to do with himself, where his mom keeps going. This isn't happening, this isn't real. I want you to know that I spoke to the director of the juvenile detention facility. I explained the situation. I explained that Gavin is highly emotionally distraught. I asked him to put him on self-exit watch. Okay. I asked him to keep him under 24/7 observation. I know this is an emotionally devastating situation. Gavin's mom is nodding. It's unclear if she's just going into mom mode, trying to pay attention and think for her son, or if she's in shock. I don't know.
Probably in
shock. But the dad is very distraught. He's sitting down, he's shaking, and a male cop says, "It's a horrible set of circumstances. You deserve to know that he will be tried as an adult." The dad starts crying eventually.
98 years old, just living out her days. And here's my son. My son. And I'm mother all these people out here. And it's my son.
Eventually, the interaction ends with the mom asking the officer,
Does Kevin understand he's going to prison? Probably for the rest of his life.
Everyone who knows Margaret says, she's not what you think when you envision a 98-year-old woman. She was strong. She was fierce. She was born in 1919. This took place in 2018. She was a few months away from turning 99. She lived through the Second World War, the moon landing. I mean, she just seemed so excited to live out the rest of her days. She would tell her family she just wants to hit 100, because why not, you know? And we don't know too much about Margaret, but in almost every picture of her that I've seen, regardless of her age, there's always a dog. There's always a dog nearby. And she's a big gardener. She lived in that house, tended to it for the past 50 years. Someone who once knew Margaret says, "When I was a little girl, this woman would actually babysit me. Now I'm in my 80s thinking about her."
Wow.
The crafts and games that she would play with me, and on my 5th birthday, my family and I moved away and I never saw her again. Just finding out about her death, I feel like it's too late to help, but she's with God now. I love her and I miss her forever. According to everyone that knew Margaret, she's just very independent. She handled her own finances. Her husband had passed. She didn't want to move. She wanted to live in this house that she had created this whole life with him forever, and that was her dream. And then she gets murdered by a 17-year-old kid. Back in the interrogation room, the officer confronts Gavin with the belief that she believes if he had not been caught, Gavin would have gone on to kill more people. Because even after Gavin kills Margaret, he says he didn't really feel different. He said, "I didn't really feel like anything had changed or had happened. I really didn't feel anything. I just continued to break into cars and drink and smoke dope."
Wow.
The officer says, "Unfortunately, I think you would have hurt more people. Was that in your plan?" I mean, it wasn't in my plan, but I could see that happening. Many netizens believe that he was ramping up to be a serial killer. So remember how I said in his little journal he had those serial killer reports?
Yeah.
Also, to call it reports or research is kind of goofy. He makes it sound like he's sitting there doing some sort of focused work because he was telling his friends, almost bragging about it, that he's researching serial killers. I'm not entirely sure what compelled me to go down this route, but after listening to hours and hours of his raw interrogation footage, the idea of him writing these snippets of these serial killers, it just didn't really make sense as to who I was hearing in the interrogation footage, as to who was writing in the journals. It was just copied and pasted from a crime magazine. Yeah.
Oh, he's copying a crime magazine's words onto his own journal.
Yes.
Pretending that this is his own thoughts.
Yes. So I don't think that he had a particular fascination in serial killers. I think that he had a fascination in wanting to be perceived as one or to be perceived as dark.
Oh, like all the... okay.
So it doesn't seem like he's sitting there studying Ted Bundy, his MO, how he was caught, why he did those things. So it's very interesting because a lot of people, some people feel sympathy for the way that he keeps telling his friends he wants to understand what's going on in his mind. And then you would it would be safe to conclude that if he's researching serial killers, maybe he's trying to understand their minds to see how it connects to his mind. But that's not the case. I think he just is a bad person. But he's saying these things not because he truly wants to understand himself, but I personally think he just wants to be perceived a certain way. Because he's not really researching other minds that he feels are similar to his. He's not researching serial killers and their thought process. He's practically copy and pasting their Wikipedia pages down. It's hard to say that he's trying to understand himself through that. Gavin Ramsey is indicted and charged with 1 count of aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of felony murder, 1 count aggravated burglary, 1 count kidnapping, and 1 count of abuse of a corpse. Gavin did see a counselor a few years prior to the murder, but I don't think that he told anybody about his necrophilic tendencies. The counselor does go on to prescribe him, at one point, 100 milligrams of Zoloft per day. Zoloft is an antidepressant. 100 milligrams is a pretty high dosage. Now, I was inclined to assume that the counselor knew nothing, but according to his medical files, it's noted that January 2018, just 3 months before the murder, Gavin's pediatrician noted that Gavin was displaying psychological difficulties and having intrusive thoughts of violence. His mom states, if I could change one thing, I would never have agreed to put my son on Zoloft. So his whole defense during the trial is the Zoloft defense. That Zoloft made him more aggressive, more violent, which there are some studies that show that it does happen. That's their whole defense. The mom even says, you cannot believe that my decision to let him take Zoloft was not part of the cause of this. She claims that from January to March that he was on Zoloft, she noticed him getting increasingly irritable, hostile, even saying, quote, bizarre things. And prior to that, he was just the sweetest boy, I guess.
Girl.
Which, like I said, there are studies done to show how Zoloft can impact people, especially teenagers, that it does increase aggression. There's symptoms of, agitation, restlessness, anger, irritability. And she tells the judge, before this, Gavin was loyal to a fault. He's compassionate. And this thing that we're sitting here discussing is not who my son is. I don't care how much you want to pluck out evil fast, that's not my son. Side note, there is another odd moment with Gavin and his mom during the interrogation where he hasn't confessed to murder yet. I'm just giving you the dynamic of mother and son. He has not confessed to the murder of Margaret. He's only confessed to the carjacking. He's rocking back and forth, ranting and pointing at his mom, and he's saying, I'm costing them thousands of dollars, because he's always getting in legal trouble. Constant heartbreak. I honestly probably never made either of them proud. I don't do anything fucking good ever. And his mom just whips to him. And instead of being like, no, son, you do make me proud, she just goes, stop cussing.
Stop cussing.
Okay.
She does not deny it, just tells him to stop. It's a weird interaction. And now she's up on the stand saying he's compassionate.
That's because you've never had a troubled kid. As the troubled kid. Yeah, that would have been her reaction. And then after that, maybe say something like, not technically always, but yeah, no, trust me. Troubled kids who are used to get in trouble, they usually get different reaction from their parents. Trust me on that. Anyway, I gotta go get my pizza. Ugh. No, Nancy, no. I want you back there. No, Tito. Something serious. So annoying. Yeah, Okay.
Loyal to a fault. In addition to the Zoloft defense, if you will, his attorneys bring up his past. There are records that Gavin was allegedly a victim of a sexual offense back in 2009, so that means he would have been 9 years old. We don't know exactly what happened, but we can kind of imagine and presume, based off of what he told authorities, that he had been with a man before, but it was, quote, involuntary. I couldn't find the case files anywhere, probably because he was 9 at the time. Some netizens think it is a fair argument, considering that trauma could have shaped his brain differently when he's 9 years old and sent him down this path. But be that as it may, other netizens say, what does Margaret have to do with that? A lot of people have been victimized, but they don't go out and do what he did. They don't go out and commit necrophilia. Also, who targets a 98-year-old woman? That feels completely unrelated to his alleged trauma. Ultimately, Gavin's defense and mother have argued that it's his taking of Zoloft that led him to commit this crime. The only time Gavin seems emotional throughout the entire trial proceedings is when his mom is testifying and stating that all of this is because of Zoloft. He does not get emotional even when Margaret's family members give impact statements. Meanwhile, the prosecutor's main focus is not just the killing of Margaret, but what he did to Margaret's body afterwards.
Yeah.
The police chief says this murder was the most horrific crime that he had ever seen in his 30 years of working as a cop. He says Gavin just has evil in him to do something like that. That's the only way I can explain it. Another officer says he degraded her body, videotaping and taking pictures. He's actually been in there with her for a while. He stayed for 2 hours.
Yep.
The only reason that he went home is because his mom wakes up at 5 a.m. and he had to pretend to be asleep. Who knows how much longer he would have stayed? Who knows what more he would have done? The prosecutors also argue that Zoloft cannot be the reason for his aggressive behavior. They call into evidence that he starts his Zoloft prescription January 31st, 2018. A week before, January 19th, 2018, he's writing in his journal, quote, I just want to go off on someone and beat them until they're not breathing anymore. I honestly just want to take someone's life.
Bro.
The prosecutor also points to the fact that even during the interrogation, the time that he gets the most emotional, when he is practically rocking back and forth, this is again before he confesses to killing Margaret. This is when he thinks he's going to court for carjacking. He says, I was 16 and already had a fucking felony, like 5 misdemeanors, and now I'm going to be in more trouble and I have to go back to court and I'm so done with it. I'm done with it. Honestly, I don't even want to live at home anymore. I don't know. I'm not normal. I just need to live somewhere else. Like, I don't know, some halfway house or something. I honestly would not care. At this point, I don't even care what's on my record. I mean, like I do, but like not right now. I know I might have to deal with it for like another next 9 months. And this is what makes me so mad.
I don't know. I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself.
He acts like he's a victim, that he has to go through the court process. He's crying because of consequences. Later, when he's talking about what he did to Margaret, the authorities ask him, are you sorry this happened?
Yeah, I'm really sorry that I did all of this.
Were you sorry about all of this before you got caught?
Yeah, like I constantly, like I think about it a lot, and I feel like bad about what I did. I know it's wrong, but I can't express the emotion.
If she was here alive in front of you, what would you say to her? I'm sorry? That never meant to happen. If I could take it back, I would.
Like, is he mimicking the...
Yes. None of these are actual descriptions of feelings. These are what people call dead phrases. So when you're like, I guess when you're writing or reading or even speaking, there's things, dead phrases. If I could take it back, I would. It doesn't really actually mean anything, and it's been overused to the point where it does not evoke a feeling.
Yeah.
You're not describing a feeling. You're almost just saying things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
He's just saying what he thinks he needs to say.
Yeah, there's no emotion behind his words.
No.
So scary.
And he also talks about how his dad is going to be so upset, and he says, I know it's going to ruin our family name.
Well,
That's what he says.
yes.
It's going to ruin their family name.
See, so, okay, it gives the feeling is he understands the consequences, what this means, how bad this is, what's going to happen. He heard enough of it. He knows it, but he has no attachment, nothing. There's no emotion behind any of these, right?
No.
That's what's so terrifying about.
The only emotion he has is when he is facing prison and court.
Yeah, and even that, like, it doesn't sound like he is. It's still different. Like he's still, it's like he's annoyed by it.
Yes, it's like agitating versus devastating.
Yeah.
Eventually, Gavin pleads no contest and is found guilty November 2018 of all the charges against him, including aggravated murder, aggravated burglary, kidnapping, gross abuse of a corpse. He also provides a statement to court to Margaret's family, which honestly is not a great statement. I think it provides no closure. He can't even explain why he did what he did. He just says, I don't know how to explain why all this happened. I don't think there is an explanation to begin with. I think about it all the time. I'd take it back in a heartbeat if I could. I feel terrible for what I've done, and I will never do anything like that again. I'm sorry for what I did. I constantly live in regret and shame because of it. Margaret's family gave their victim impact statements, and her great niece said, had he not been caught, I have no doubt that he would continue to escalate his crimes and continue killing, and I believe he planned to kill numerous people. He used my aunt as a warm-up, so to speak. Gavin was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. 10 years for aggravated burglary, 10 for kidnapping, and 1 year of abuse of a corpse to be served consecutively. Which, side note, a lot of netizens hope for the death penalty, but he was 17, which means he cannot face capital punishment. He has appealed his sentence, which was denied, but it doesn't really matter because in Ohio, a new Senate bill passed. It's the new law, SB 256, and abolishes life imprisonment without parole for juvenile offenders, even if they're charged as adults. They have automatic chance at parole at 25 years. Keyword is chance. Now, side note, in 25 years, Gavin will only be 42 years old. So even without Gavin's case, the bill is pretty controversial, with one expert stating, the person you are at 16 is not the person you are at 50. The juvenile brain is not fully developed. They do things impulsively. While a prosecutor argues back that while maybe that's true for certain cases, maybe like drug-related offenses, but in these types of cases like Gavin's, they say, quote, someone who has a propensity to become a serial killer and then gets out in 25 or 30 years, I don't agree with that at all. Now, Margaret's family member says, when he was sentenced, it was like, okay, we took a criminal off the road, we took him out of society, and now we're looking at, here we go again. Now he may be back in society at some time. Which I don't even think that they're opposed to rehabilitating teens. Margaret's family member just says, it puts all of these juvenile criminals into one box, whether they were being reckless and shooting a gun that accidentally killed someone, or if they're committing these devious plotting crimes like Gavin did.
He will murder somebody and torment somebody and kill somebody again.
One senator argues the bill was looking at many of those cases where people have changed and turned their lives around, became good model prisoners and done everything right. They made a mistake when they were juveniles and were sentenced as adults. In no way does this new law guarantee release for offenders, only an opportunity for parole if they can show that they are truly rehabilitated. And
Exactly.
while I get that, how do you really know? Sure, the judge presiding over the case said that Gavin is irreparably corrupt and unfit to re-enter society, but it won't be the same judge that determines if he gets probation. And what you see on the probation records is kind of a watered down version of the actual facts of the case. It's not going to be as in-depth. You're not going to get the emotions of the family members, the victim impact statements. You're not going to have as much of that involved. And of course, people like Gavin are really good at faking remorse. This is how he writes about himself. He has a profile on the website writeaprisoner.com. He's looking for pen pals. And it reads, Gavin Ramsey is 23 years old and incarcerated in Ohio, USA. He states he is an Aries, a Christian, but not seeking prayer partners, and he's straight. And his profile reads, hey there, I'll keep it short and sweet, and if I spark your curiosity, you're more than welcome to write to me. I'm looking for people who are interested in spirit, soul, and body growth and development. I enjoy conversations that delve far beneath the surface, and I love to laugh and see people smile as well. I believe everybody has something beautiful to contribute to the people and places around them, but it takes the right person to unearth so great a gem. Perhaps I'm that person for you. Perhaps you're that person for me. I enjoy writing music and poetry. I play sports and have a high regard for my health and fitness. I also crochet, which is more therapeutic than I originally thought, but only in prison would I learn such a craft. LOL. I'm in college and I'm always searching for proactive ways to mature as an individual, both for myself and for those around me. I believe if you want to see a difference, you have to be the difference.
Right.
This gives me he's amping up for parole in 25 years. He says, thus I invite you to come be a difference with me. I look forward to hearing from you. Smiley face. He will be eligible for parole when he is 42 years old in 2043. Margaret's family says it's terrifying. They say several family members chose to give victim impact statements at his sentencing. Before his sentencing, they have to give victim impact statements. They don't know what his sentence is going to be. They know that he's been found guilty, but they don't know the sentence. He could be out and about. They said, we know that if we put our true thoughts in our statements, Gavin would be able to read and hear them. And we discuss the risk of giving him fuel for the rage he carries inside him, knowing that at some point he might be released from prison while my siblings and I are still alive. He's relatively young, and knowing he may come after us, but we all decided to move forward with our statement and trusted that the criminal justice system would ensure that justice as well as our safety and the community's safety would be prioritized when sentencing. The amount of relief when we found out that he had life without parole, immeasurable. That relief is now gone because of SB 256. We now spend every day worrying about Gavin's release. His release may happen not only when my siblings and I are still alive, but when my parents are alive. So this is the great niece, Cindy's daughter, Cindy and Howard's daughter.
Wow.
I still have nights when I need to check closets and under the bed out of paranoia. I still have nights where I wake up suddenly and have to put my gun next to me on the bed in order to feel safe. If he wasn't concerned about getting home prior to his parents waking, how much longer would he have stayed with Margaret? What else would he have done?
I mean, I think I can feel that, like, because his crime is so senseless, so unreasonable. Like, this is truly a mind of a serial killer. So you feel so terrified because there's no closure. You can't predict how this person is going to act.
Because I think we as humans all run on a system of calculating other people's risk tolerance. It's, I don't believe this person will kill me because then they will forfeit this. They have this risk of what happens to them. But it truly seems he does not care for that. He actually likes the thrill of taking risks. So it's very unpredictable, I'm sure is the feeling, and so scary.
Yeah.
They say our sense of safety has forever changed, but they're going to fight every parole hearing, every chance that he's going to be free or every chance he could be free, they're going to be there. Many netizens have also said it's scary because in court, he's very polite to the judge. He presents as a very well put together young man. And the top comments read, was he this polite when he was murdering a defenseless elderly lady? The only time that he's emotional during the trial is when his mom is talking and when they tell him that he's going to county jail rather than juvenile detention. And he looks physically ill. A lot of netizens are focused on the victim's age. They write, imagine being 98. You escaped death by accidents, illness, lived through world wars, the Great Depression, and more, so close to dying in your bed peacefully, only for a lowlife to do this to you. Some netizens feel very conflicted on whether or not he has the ability to rehabilitate, stating, mixed emotions on this one. What he did was absolutely disgusting and evil, but this is a child whose brain is not completely developed and trained. I really don't know what way to go in this case. Others think, he's way too far gone now. They write, it's a good thing they caught him while he's young because this type of action just escalates as they get older. Some people cannot be fixed. Another writes, I don't know how people can question it. Some people are just born this way. They should be eradicated from society. You cannot fix them. Or Senate Bill 256 is going to protect this kid to an extent, but hopefully a parole board will see the serial killer in him and deny him parole for life. If they let him out, he will absolutely do it again. Serial killers do not stop unless they're dead or caught. Another comment reads, this is Jeffrey Dahmer in the making. Thank God he was stopped at his first victim, rest her soul. There would have been many more to come. Other netizens are shocked at the crime itself, saying, the father screaming, it's my son that did this? It's heartbreaking. Others comment, his parents seem like all right people, but I just get the feeling that something is off with his mom. She's saying the right words, but I just felt something off about her. I don't know, I can't explain it. Which many netizens who watched her statement in court agree. They say, did she just call her son compassionate? Not sure what this woman knows what compassionate even means. Other moms agree. If that was my son, I would not be calling him compassionate. I would be taking him to prison myself. Or another one reads, that boy is like that because of his mom. You know, even when slapped in the face with how much of a monster her demon spawn is, she chooses to ignore and coddle him. She raised that. She should be ashamed. His mommy says he's compassionate. Yeah, well, so is the justice system who gave him life sentence with parole now. Another comment just points out, if a detective ever asks you, what do you think should happen to the person that did this? Just know that you are their suspect, LOL. And that is where we are with this case. What are your thoughts? Do you think that he can be rehabilitated? Can someone this far gone be rehabilitated or no? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. Be safe. Bye.
I think it's very easy for people who are not in this situation to blame the fucking woman. Why would you keep blaming women for the action of men? This is crazy. That's his mom. Of course she's not rational. That's her baby. Like, nobody can actually understand what nobody can put her themselves in her shoes. Nobody wants to be in her shoes. So, of course people don't understand. There's like a lot of like things that's probably going on in her head. She's probably also still probably in denial, which is very, very easy to understand because I know for a fact that I would probably disconnect from reality if this was my son. I don't know if I'd be able to be rational. I don't know if I'd be able to be like, yeah, yeah, sure, 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 he did that. I don't think I'd be able to. I don't think I'd be able to challenge the fact that I raised that. That's crazy. Like, people need to take the time to fully put themselves in someone's shoes before making these comments because it's very easy to judge when you're not in the club. Mm-mm. I feel sorry for her. I feel sorry for the father. I feel sorry for the family. And of course, I feel even more sorry for the victim's family. But regardless, I'm done. I'm done eating. I'm done with my makeup. Probably gonna need to fix my lips now that I ate. And I'm ready to start playing Marvel Rival, which is gonna hopefully make me feel better than whatever the fuck that was. Jeremy, I don't understand what you're saying. But I digress for that too. Anyway, anywho, that's it for today. Rotten Mango, get ready with me episode. I will now take a 5 minute, not even. I'll be right back for the gaming streaming. See ya next time. Take care.